stop by for the Nintenbyte. You got the Triforce and it feels right. Like Bowser, you can listen all night, singing Peaches until the sunlight. Summer shoots her beam so bright. Master Hand always brings a fight. Catch 'em all and use that fire blast. Put the soul back to visit your past. Welcome to the Nintenbyte Podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Nintenbyte Podcast bonus episode, full episode 11 of season 2. Oh man, we got a packed show today because man, we had a Nintendo Direct today. It's the whole reason this episode even exists. We got to get this out of the way because next week is all Switch 2, baby. And you know what? Even today, a little bit of Switch 2, little unexpected Switch 2 news today. Did not think we were getting anything about Switch 2 today. And instead we got 2 really major things, 3 if you want to talk about the Best Buy stuff, because that's getting wild as well. So, but we'll get into some of that a little bit later. The first thing we're going to be dealing with, and I know if you guys are thinking I look blurry or whatever, don't worry about it. It's because there's a video uploading for the show. It has to finish uploading. Then my video will be better again. That being said, let's just go around the room and introduce ourselves. First, our special guest today, N64 Josh.
What is going on? So good to be here. How hyped are we? Like, this is like my favorite meme that I saw about this was like, oh, 2 cakes, right? Like literally 2 cakes. We get second breakfast this week, you know? So really stoked and really excited to be here.
Exactly. Awesome. Glad to have you here. Eric Moore.
Hello.
Yep. You're just here. As
I'm
he
here.
says, usually
Yeah,
every
no.
Wednesday, but he's here on a Thursday,
I
baby. Thunderstash Gaming.
We're back. We were this morning, did some work, got a little, I got like a 45-minute nap, little power nap, ready to roll now.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, dude. And obviously me, guys, as I said, I see the comments in the live version of the show. I know the camera's pixelated. It should be fixing itself in a moment. Again, I was uploading the full direct to the back end of this platform we're using while we were going live. So it was taking up a lot of my upload. So if you don't know how this application works, it will make the video get all blurry, but keep the audio crisp because the audio is what matters. That being said, it should clear up here in a little bit. So we got 4 topics for you guys today. Now, like we haven't ordered to them, so I think me and Stash will just throw back and forth since we were the ones that were there live doing the direct on the channel earlier today. So let's just start with this first one, and our first topic is going to be about, guys, just let you guys know we're talking about Metroid Prime 4, of course. Got to talk about that. We got to talk about Pokemon Legends EA, and even some Tomodachi Life. We're going to throw that in there as well because that was a surprise announcement at the end. So, Stash, you want to take this one?
Yeah, which one? Which one you want me to take first?
You let me know, and I'll play the video.
Let's go the general thoughts on the direct.
Okay, cool. So that's one of the things we're doing is our general thoughts, and then we have obviously the games that I said. We're also gonna be talking about the TV app, not the TV app. Sorry, what am I talking about? The phone app. The phone app.
Is this the Xbox One all over again? The Wii U is back.
Nintendo Today, and then the card sharing. And then we have our wish list. We got Switch 2 topic in here. Our wish list for Nintendo Switch 2. Something we wanted to do yesterday, but you know, we had the direct announcement, so it kind of just took over from there. So I will take let's see, what one sounds fun to me. I guess I'll take the 3-pack of games. I'll take that one. And Stash, what are the last 2 do you want?
I'll take the card sharing and the wish list.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Now I'll take whatever's left. All right. So let's start with the big one. So obviously you guys know there was a direct today. That's why we're doing this. And we're going to talk quickly about the 3 big games. Okay. Let's start off. Let's just go in order that they appeared in the damn direct. So I think first up was what? Metroid Prime 4.
Mm-hmm.
I remember. Mm-hmm. So let me grab this and get it up and mute it because we don't need it. We don't need to play it like that. Anyways. So yeah, obviously they showed Metroid Prime 4 today. I think a lot of people expected Metroid to show up. I don't know if they were expecting it to be Prime 4. I've seen a lot of the online conversations about this game. It's kind of interesting. on one hand, you have people super hyped. On the other, you also have people being like, that doesn't look very good.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. It's definitely Switch 1 footage for anyone who's debating if it was Switch 2 or Switch 1. This is Switch 1. This looks like a lot of Switch 1 games. Blurry. Pixelated. Not always. I mean, not this pixelated. This is internet pixelation. But, you know, it's is what it is. That being said, we know why. We've heard in interviews in the past, Retro Studios prioritizes 60 FPS. They will sacrifice what they need to make sure gameplay is at 60 FPS, which, by the way, I think is the right call. I wish all games would do that.
Mm-hmm.
Prioritize 60 FPS minimum. Like, it just should be the way. You know, visuals have already come so far. It's okay if they're downgraded if we get better gameplay.
Mhm.
That's my opinion. But what I find interesting about it, obviously, is everyone's hyped about it for the most part because it's Prime 4. I do feel like because there was no release date, they're showing this next week again. There's just no way they're not showing it again. Am I wrong on that? I mean,
Yeah.
obviously we'll find out, but what do you guys think about that?
I
Yeah.
think dead on. I think, I mentioned it this morning. I think there's a reason why they're having the events so close to each other. I think they really do want the footage that we saw today to be fresh in our minds on April 2nd, because it's going to look different on April 2nd. It's going to look better, and it's going to be easy for us to recollect what it looked like. So
Yeah.
to me, this didn't look like the same game we saw in the last trailer. I don't know. I thought the last trailer looked better, sharper.
Same.
Right?
Yeah.
We all said that too, right?
Yeah, I think it might be Switch 2 footage in that first trailer. The
Yeah,
review. It
I
looks
do
so
too.
much crisper than this. Like, way crisper.
I just love. We just saw an Elite from Halo. I love that.
Yeah, right.
That's my favorite thing.
They're hinting at something.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's really interesting. So setting aside like the fact that there probably is a Switch 2 version of the game, and we could actually talk about the edition stuff later. What are we thinking about like just the gameplay? Because obviously there's been a lot of talk about the visuals. We have this red Samus here at the end of the trailer, which God knows what that means. Some sort of upgrade, I'm assuming, to the suit, armor, whatever. So they introduced some new gameplay elements. They have this like her left hand now has kind of feels like abilities from Breath of the Wild, but from Tears of the Kingdom, I mean.
She's a Jedi.
Yeah, she's a Jedi.
Yeah.
So, you know, she's got some force abilities. She can move things. That's what we mostly saw is her moving things with it. But there might be other abilities she can gain throughout the game. I do think that's an interesting way to change up the gameplay, to give her those kind of abilities. Because most of the abilities in the past have always been with the arm cannon. Just changing things with the arm cannon. Now they're letting her use her other hand to do something. So I think that's an interesting gameplay change up. Look, when I'm watching this trailer now, like my biggest takeaway is like, yeah, the world looks huge, but it still looks enclosed. Like you can only go certain ways, which is what Metroid Prime has been in the past. This literally to me just looks like more Metroid Prime. I don't know. You got any thoughts on this, Josh? Because
yes, so many thoughts.
People wanted like this game to be the game that like expands Metroid to a bigger audience. I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing just more Prime, which, by the way, if you love Prime, that's a good thing. Like, hell yeah.
I'm in the exact same boat. Like, you know, I put a tweet out about this and had a handful of people, and there are even people that are big fans saying like, nothing's selling me here right now. And I was a little bit shocked by that. Like, I'm sold immediately. Like, I fired up Prime Remaster and put some more time into that after watching this, and I love it. But I'm not worried about me. I'm not worried about Prime fans. I'm worried about like if they stick to the Prime formula, that it is essentially more of a first-person adventure game than like a first person shooter. And maybe that's on me for wanting something with more, like I'm thinking Halo Infinite. I'm thinking like I want to see Samus in the ranks of, and I'm not saying Halo Infinite was the perfect game, but I had a good time playing through it. I even had a good time playing through Halo 5, right? I've always enjoyed the Halo campaigns. And I'm going to enjoy this. I have no doubt. I feel like I wonder if they're being like extra safe with what they're showing, because there's going to be some potential like break the internet moments that are going to be within this game that they don't want to spoil. And that's my argument all along to grow Metroid, is that the example I always give is it would be amazing if it had its Helldiver moment, right? Helldivers 2 hit, everybody's tweeting about it, everybody's showing off their clips. That's what I hope to see. And I mean, even Breath of the Wild had that, where people were going crazy, like doing all their crazy builds and sending stuff flying through the air and everything, like, but that's not really what's this game isn't like necessarily about that. So there's got to be like some boss fights or some like crazy things that happen in the story that are going to get people really hyped and sharing it. I'm not worried about anybody here. I'm not worried about anybody in the chat, right? It's where my biggest concern is you look at a game like Metroid Dread, sells 3 million. Everybody's happy. The development time and cost for that is probably a fraction of the lost revenue from the first time they started this. Then the essentially, 6 to 8 years that this has been in the works. Like, they're also going to want to get their money back, or we may never see another Prime game. And so that's where that's really where my concern is, and where I get nervous is like, I want to see a new audience introduced to Prime in a way that like they're blown away. And I don't know if we were to poll people and say, hey, after seeing the Metroid trailer, do you think this is a game you would pick up? And when fans of it are telling me I'm not seeing what the magic is yet, that's it's a little bit disheartening, right? And then what was crazy, and we'll probably hit on a little bit too, but there was a tweet going around showing the liked, like the amount of likes on the post from Nintendo for Tomodachi Life versus Metroid, and you're talking like a fraction of the people liked the Metroid tweet versus the Tomodachi, and so not that it's a competition. That's not my I'm not saying that, but like, they have their work cut out for them marketing this game, and they can't treat this like it's 2006 and that, like first person shooters are the pinnacle of gaming like they were back then. It's no longer the case. And this is going to take a lot of extra work. And if they're happy selling 3 to 6 million, if they could pull that, then like awesome. As long as we can keep getting Metroid. But I would love to see. Everything about what we're seeing here looks very slow, and I don't like. It's like you see this armor clad like warrior, and then you see this almost like Myst style gameplay, right? Like, you guys remember Myst from back in the day?
Of course, who doesn't?
And yeah, and so like. I hope it can resonate with modern audiences, because like I've had conversations firsthand with a lot of people that are like, yo, I'm trying. Like, I had a friend, he may be in chat, Nady Nay. He's like, he bought Dread. It was his first Metroid. He's like, I loved it. I can't go back to the old ones. He goes, and then I watch video of Prime, and I'm like, it looks like a scan fest. Like, this doesn't look like something I'd be into. And so I just want to see the series thrive. I want to see, and in the atmosphere of gaming right now, the way the landscape is, I just hope this game can find a way to really reach a new audience. Because I think all the diehards and the hardcore, we're day one. It doesn't matter. We saw the logo 6 years ago and 8 years ago. We're like, sold. Let's go. But without that poll, I hope they can do the numbers they're hoping it will do with, I'm assuming with the budget that they've had to put into it.
Look, we've seen the game twice, right? We saw it June last year. And now we've seen it, almost a year later. And I think the best description I have of Prime 4 right now is it looks safe. It looks like they're just sticking to, so far, to what they know and what they know fans have loved and what's given them 95s on Metacritic in the past. And there is something to be said about a series that knows what it is, sticks to what it is, and loves what it is, and doesn't try to conform to more mainstream stuff, because sometimes games go too far trying to conform to mainstream trends, and then you kind of lose what the game is, or what a Metroid game is. And like scanning was always going to be part of it, having corridors and exploration and puzzles, that was always going to be part of it. But people want to know, what about this makes it stand out when there's a lot of other FPSs out there that do a lot of similar things with the puzzles and the corridors and even scanning things. Like, it's not unique to Metroid anymore. And while maybe this will probably be another 90+ rated game, people are looking to find out what's that wow factor, because we want this game to do well. We want Metroid to grow, because here's the thing. We know this game has a AAA budget. It's made by a massive team out of Retro Studios, and it's been in development hell, really, since 2017. Like, Nintendo's sunk a lot of money into finally getting this game to come out. So it's probably one of the most expensive games they've ever put together. And so it's hard to imagine that, like, just getting the same sales as Metroid Dread at $3 million is going to be acceptable. Like, Metroid Dread, they could just shit out more of those. Way cheaper to make. Doesn't take as long to develop. They can have Mercury Steam just keep making more. Like, regardless of what happens with this game, I don't think Metroid goes away, because they've proven that, hey, we can sell it $2 to $3 million like we can with side-scrolling Kirby with side-scrolling Metroid. And that's a more budget-friendly thing to do. So Nintendo's a business. Mm-hmm. And I think the concern is, because Nintendo's a business, I would venture to guess there's a bigger budget behind this game than there was behind Mario Odyssey. And just because of how long it's taken to make it, and the fact they had to reboot development, and the fact it was made in the West, where development is just more expensive, because all these temporary contract hires. So I look at that and I think about it and I go, okay, well, then I want this game. I want to see this game sell over 6 million. I want to see it try to get to 10. But to do that, you have to have something about it that appeals to people that have never played Metroid. There's a reason people don't pick it up. It doesn't look good to them. It doesn't look fun to them. What can you do to make that? Now, I want to be clear. We don't know when it's coming out yet, besides later this year. So they haven't given us a release date. And it's also possible that they can be holding back quite a bit for the Switch 2. We heard from that Kiwi Talks person that they were going to, blow it out? Big blowout next week. It was going to be like the game of the show. That's how impressive it was going to look. And maybe it will be. And maybe that's what they're doing, is they're right now, maybe they're just trying. I'm trying to rationalize this, that the first 2 times they showed it, they wanted to tell people, hey, those that love Metroid Prime, we got you. We got you. The core of Metroid Prime is here. But then what the wow factor is what they drop next time. And I think the problem with that is people might not give it a chance if they. I feel like the wow factor needs to be right out the bat, and then the reassurances should come later. Like, as an example, we talk about this a lot because it was such a big deal. The Breath of the Wild moment, right? There was 2 of them, and they happened before the game even came out. The first one, big giant pan shot, massive overworld, Link's on a horse running away. Okay, you're showing something that we just haven't seen in Zelda basically ever. And then next time they show it, Link's running out on a cliff. And again, big wide expanse. Look at this world. And then boom, jump to boss fights, jump to dungeons, show everyone there's some traditional Zelda elements here, but there's so much new. They didn't do that with this game. The very first time they showed it last year, it didn't jump out and go, this is new. No, it just looks like more Metroid. Okay, and it looked visually good. This time looks not as visually stunning to me, which is fine. Again, that could have been Switch 2 footage versus Switch 1. We'll see. We'll know for sure next week. Technically it could have just all been pre-rendered CGI too. So I can't rule that out these days in the video game industry. But I also look at it as, okay, the first time they show it, you just wanted to assure people the thing exists. Fine. Second time you show it, you're assuring people that it's traditional Metroid Prime. What is the wow factor? That's what I want. Like, for me, I'm looking at this as a huge fan of Metroid Prime. I'm going, this is fucking awesome. But also, this isn't going to convince Eric to play.
No.
Yeah.
But
what would you like Halo?
Yeah.
Like, what would Eric's the kind of audience that they should be trying to like get with this, and an audience that has no interest. But like, look, Eric didn't really have a lot of interest in Zelda either. And then he played the Breath of the Wild demo, and he's like, "Oh my god, where's the oh my god moment here that gets new people to be like, I have to play this."
I really think they're waiting for the Switch 2 Direct for it. I just you basically took the words out of my mouth. I think it's one of those that they showed it the first time. It looks good, just to say, yep, hey, we haven't forgot about this game. This time it is definitely, hey, yep, we still haven't forgot enough. Here's enough to wet your whistle. This is a Metroid Prime game. And then, we get a little tease here at the end with the red, Samus that we think is Samus anyways. And that might lead into something that just absolutely blows our mind next week. I don't know what it would be, but there's part of me that says, that agrees with you. Yeah, you want to come out and blow your minds right away. But there's also part of me that thinks, is it more impactful if you're kind of and then, oh my God, never mind, I was wrong? Is it more impactful that way?
I say this. Here's the thing, Eric. You're going to be seeing the marketing for this all the way because we have this podcast, right?
Yeah.
That we do every week.
Yeah.
The casual consumer would have took one look and they'll never look the game up again. They won't even know about the wow factor because they already saw one trailer and game's written off.
Not
Everyone's watching directs and watching.
No, I realize
stuff,
that, but with the way social media is,
you think word of mouth?
If you don't believe that if they absolutely hit a home run with this thing next week, that people will not be this game will be all over social media, you're shitting yourself. I mean, to think that it wouldn't be all over the place, and people would basically have to go out of their way to not see it, just with the way that social media is nowadays.
Sure. I think word of mouth is huge, but here's also my thing. Let's say next week is when, like Kiwi Talks is right. And next week is when, and by the way, I saw him in the chat, shout out. Let's say next week is where, okay, this thing looks really, really impressive. But what do you think more people are going to be talking about on social media? Mario Kart or Metroid?
You never know. Metroid could literally blow our minds. We just don't know.
But even if it blows our minds, Mario Kart is Nintendo's biggest franchise.
Yes, but at the same point in time, we kind of, unless they do something ungodly with Mario Kart, we kind of know what Mario Kart is.
Well, 24 racers already will get people talking.
No, for sure. And I'm not saying it won't.
Bigger tracks.
I'm not saying it won't. But if they come out with something massively different with Metroid, I think that might be the talk of the show. Just because unless they completely revamp Mario Kart 2, and do something way off the wall, we already kind of know what Mario Kart is.
Sure.
So, I could see where Metroid could be the talk of the show because of this brand new thing that they're doing.
But you could argue the same thing with Mario Kart.
No,
we know what Metroid is. We know what Metroid Prime is. This is the fourth one. We know what Metroid Prime is, right? The fifth one, if you want to count Prime Hunters. Sixth one, if you want to count Metroid Prime Federation Force. So, you could make the same argument here. We know what Metroid is.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So, Mario Kart, they've been talking about pit stops or all this other stuff that would be massive changes to the game.
Right.
New items, just new items alone, like tons of new items would just make Mario Kart feel different. The reason I brought up that comparison is because we got to remember when they showed off Switch 2, they chose to show it off with Mario Kart. Mm-hmm. They know that Mario Kart is the main draw. With Breath of the Wild, they knew Zelda's the draw. They had 1-2 Switch. That wasn't the first game they showed for. They showed Breath of the Wild. The reveal trailer, what was it? Guy playing Zelda on TV, lifting it up, taking his dog out for a walk. Mm-hmm. They knew Zelda was it, right? they're treating Mario Kart so far like that's it. That's not saying that this won't be there. I do believe this will be a launch game until next week. If it's not in it next week. If Extus, the guy who disagrees with Kiwi Talks, and if it's not in the thing next week, I will say this: if this isn't shown again on Wednesday,
Yeah.
I will have some major concerns.
Yes. No, 100%.
This game has to be a launch game at this point because they need it to be one of the few games that are available at launch that is that like it's like, well, I got Mario Kart. What else is available at this point, right? Like,
Right.
I think part of their plan to make this game succeed is make it a launch title.
Yeah.
Okay. I've been watching this trailer over and over again with you guys, and I don't mean to. I know I want to hear what Stash has to say on this, but there's one thing, like, because I'm watching chat too, and like, you know, it's the comparison to Halo and that kind of stuff. Like, we don't when I compare Metroid to Halo, I look back at with what Halo did for Microsoft. That's what I want to see Metroid. I want to see Metroid in the conversations with Breath of the Wild, with Mario Odyssey. You know, that it I don't want it to be Halo. I just want it to be amazing, right?
Well, some of this, we're not having conversations about 3D Mario and 3D Zelda maybe going away if they don't sell well. If this game bombs and sells 2 million, we are probably never getting another one.
Yeah.
Like and the thing is, we can't say that that's an unrealistic concern because the best one ever sold is a 3 million Metroid Dread.
Mm-hmm.
So like, it's a realistic concern to have. And that's why you might hear, this is, by the way, everything we've seen is really exciting. So I'm sorry to be like a Debbie Downer, but the problem is we're just seeing the same thing Metroid's always been, which hasn't been able to sell in the past.
With a sprinkle of new stuff in it.
Like this, to me, that one scene right there where they're walking with all the leaves blowing, that's maybe the most visually stunning scene they've shown today. But there was nothing happening on screen. You were just walking in an empty area, which happens. Metroid has a lot of empty area. I don't know. I don't want it to be like Halo. Halo is a completely different type of franchise, even though it's also in outer space. It's weird because I'm so hyped for the game, but I guess I'm just maybe I'm too concerned. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't be this concerned. It's going to be a 95 plus rated game, probably up for Game of the Year.
Here's the other thing I'll say. When Dread came out, Dread literally gave us a sense of dread with Emmys in a 2D Metroid game. None of these enemies, as cool and as like badass as they look, they don't give a sense of like, there's no sense of terror here, right? And Samus looks slow and clunky like previous games, and she looked elegant and sexy in Dread. And that's kind of what I wanted to see the transition to within Prime, that you would see, that we would see her movement and the even if it's real-time battles, if she's looking like insane, flipping around, you know, shooting stuff at point blank and looking the way she moves in Dread, that right there is a talking point. But if it's this slow tank-like combat, that's where my concern that people are going to be like, what is this? Like, why isn't there a little bit, and that evolution in 2D, I don't see why we can't expect in first person, because it's definitely been an evolution.
Yeah, when you play Dread and then you go back and play like Samus Returns or any of the other Metroids, it's much quicker. Feels a little bit more action packed while still being about exploration and puzzle solving. They didn't get rid of what makes Metroid, but they just modernized it, I guess is probably the best way to say. They modernized Metroid. And I think that needs to happen with the Prime series. But you know what? We said a lot. Stash, what do you got thoughts on this? Do you have a history with Metroid? And how are you feeling in general after this trailer?
Yeah. So to answer your first question, yes, I have a history with Metroid going back to, of course, the NES. I still remember when our neighbor across the street, Robert, came over and brought Metroid and was playing on the TV in the living room, and I was watching my oldest brother and Robert play it. Of course, I was not allowed to play the game, but they did say I was allowed to watch. I didn't have to leave the room. They said I could at least watch. They were total jerks. But at any rate, I distinctly remember Metroid and played it a ton growing up. Super Metroid, Metroid Prime, Samus Returns on Game Boy, Metroid Fusion. I've been there for, I think, on day one since Super Metroid. So yeah, I deeply love this series. Absolutely love it. I have zero concern whatsoever. That's just where I'm at. I think it's going to be a fantastic game. I think the history points to that. They've been working on it for a very long time. From what I could gather in this trailer, it's a mix of gameplay and obviously there's some cutscenes blended into there. But Metroid it's a Metroidvania. It's a first-person Metroidvania. It's supposed to be a little bit slower, a little bit more methodical. You're supposed to really explore the areas, try to open up new paths. Like that was one of the things I put in the notes. I think right in the beginning of the trailer, they show you scanning a wall and you see that the wall is weak. So of course you're able to crack the wall open and open up a new path, which obviously that's a staple for all Metroidvania games, right? Metroid or for the Castlevania series and all the other IPs that have entered the Metroidvania scene. That's a total staple. So again, happy to see that continuing to be there. I think the psychic abilities look really cool. And again, that opens up like more puzzle elements, which is something, again, you see in Metroidvania games. And I think it'll be interesting to see how they work that gameplay mechanic. Because knowing Retro and Nintendo, they'll come up with some really good puzzles that'll be some real head scratchers, which is something I appreciate. I noticed that obviously with the colors of this game, it's like all this purple. And you see with the psychic ability, it's purple. The box art's purple. The
Box looks incredible though.
Yeah, the blaster's purple. There's purple glowing on the suit right now. It'd be interesting to see like what that's all about. I just thought that was interesting that they were so consistent with this color throughout the trailer and the key art. So I think there's going to be more to it there. The red suit looks very interesting. That was cool. They put that in the trailer, obviously for a reason, probably for us to talk about it. But
grades or something.
Yeah, ultimately, I feel like there's not much I can gather from watching this trailer versus the last trailer. I'm still hyped for it. I'm still buying it day one. I'm still going to enjoy the heck out of it. And I know you guys are too. So this didn't change, I guess you could say, it didn't change anything for me. I was more looking at it, from just an observation standpoint. And you can see here, I think this is where they scan the wall, where Samus does. And you can see that you can break open the wall here, which is really cool. And that, again, this is part of the like slower, methodical piece of Metroidvanias that I absolutely love in this genre. But I was looking at it more like, what's this footage from? You know what I mean? Like that was what really interested me. Like this looks like Switch 1 footage, like a really good Switch 1 game. And I just don't think the story's over. I think we're going to get more answers on the second, which obviously is right around the corner, which is a beautiful thing. We don't have to wait months like we normally do. As far as like the sales, where I'm at with that, and ultimately we've talked about this so much, right? Nintendo has to nail the marketing if their goal is to take Metroid to the next level, into the upper echelon of Nintendo IP with Mario and The Legend of Zelda. That's if they want to do that, right? If they're comfortable where it's at, that's fine. Stay there. We'll continue to buy it. But if it's never going to be like massively popular, that's okay too, right? We're all going to love it the same way, and I know we want everyone to love it too. But if that doesn't happen, it's fine. I think Nintendo will continue to make Metroid games because the history proves that, right? Historically, it's never sold well. First Metroid came out in 1986. It's never sold well. But they continue to make them. So as long as we're all still around, as long as the old heads are still buying these games,
We're fading, bro.
yeah, dude, it'll be fine. And
Well,
I do expect the mouse support like to get some love, right? Don't you guys?
yeah.
Mhm.
That's the big reason why I still think it'll be next week is the mouse support. One thing I wanted to point out though is like the last 3D Metroid game they made, Other M, didn't sell well
No.
in 16 years. So like there isn't a guarantee we keep getting 3D Metroids. It's kind of what I was alluding to is like I think side-scrolling Metroid's not going anywhere.
Me
But-
either. And I love my side-scrolling Metroidvanias.
Yeah. So it's all about like this game has to sell. I just don't know what it has to sell that would make them happy. Like if they're fine with it being a 3 to 4 million seller, it'll probably get there. But
Well-
is that enough to keep making 3D like first person Metroids, or is that them saying, "Hey, we can pretty much get that on like a quarter of the budget"? with a
Right.
side scroller, you know?
It just depends, I think, on how they want to define internally, like what's enough. Because if you want more, you know how to get more, right? Like we've laid out the path. Josh, you and I have talked about this on your podcast too, and you've talked about it with us here. The path is laid out if you want to achieve maximum sales, right? You make it a launch title. It's a dual launch. It can be played on Switch. So that opens the door to 155 million. It can be played on Switch too, and it's going to look better and run better, right?
It'll be
Better
that
frame
other-
rate,
it'll be
better
that
resolution.
It'll be that other game that people consider to buy after.
Yeah, it'll be
After-
the other first party
party.
title,
Yeah.
right? It'll be that other banger first party title. It won't be like a lot of the other launches that we've looked at with the launch history where you have the A game, the flagship title, and then you have really good B games, the supports like the Pilot Wings and the Wave Races of the world. This is another A game. So you'd get two absolute bangers.
I mean,
And it just makes sense, dude, right? Like to do it that way. But Nate, I think you should mention what we talked about this morning as far as Metroid Prime 2 and 3. As far as how we could maybe like
yeah,
that's
so-
what I'm talking about. That's the
Yeah.
path to maximum sales if you want it.
Yeah, so we brought up this morning this idea that because they did the Switch 1 Direct, and a lot of people thought, okay, if they show Prime 4, they're shadow dropping at least Metroid Prime 2, if not 2 and 3. They didn't even mention them. But yet we have one remastered out there, and this is coming out this year. It feels like you have to have 2 and 3 come out. So he said, well, what happens if they're actually going to package them in and you buy Prime, you pre-order Prime 4, you get 2 and 3 with it? As like a pre-order bonus or something, or even it's just packed in. It just comes with Prime 4. I think that would really help increase the value. One thing I wanted to point out too is we have seen games that aren't considered good by most people sell really well just by virtue of being a launch game next to another one that does sell well. I just looked this up because like obviously we know how well Breath of the Wild sold, was absolutely incredible. Well, the other first party one that we had at launch was 1-2 Switch.
No, I was like, don't say 1-2 Switch.
And I really enjoyed 1-2 Switch, but that's because I played it the way they intended with a giant group of people.
Yep.
But just with like 2 people in a room, no, it gets kind of old pretty quick. And the thing is that game has outsold every Metroid game that's ever existed.
Yep.
And it was a launch game only on one platform. So like one advantage Metroid Prime 4 has is it's that other launch game from Nintendo that we already know Mario Kart's going to sell really well. But when people want to buy that second game, that's the other game they have. And it's a hell of a lot better game than 1-2 Switch. So hopefully word of mouth gets people like, actually, you should probably buy this one because it's really good. So, and obviously it has the sales on Switch, but the Switch 2, look, I think it's the one thing it has going for it to get it to be the best selling Metroid ever is the fact that if it is a launch game, again, we still have to say if because we don't know. But if it is a Switch 2 launch game, then I do think that it probably will become the best-selling Metroid regardless, just by virtue of being a really, really good game that's that second fiddle to the one that's going to sell the most, but it's going to get that second fiddle advantage that a lot of other launch games get that are the second fiddle. It's interesting because it's arguable Twilight Princess was the second fiddle at launch, the Wii Sports.
Yeah.
And Twilight Princess at the time became the best-selling Zelda ever.
At the time, Twilight or Zelda in general was not a huge seller.
Yeah, it was like 4 million, 5 million. Like that's just what Zelda sold besides Ocarina of Time. And even that was only 7. So it was very Zelda was only like just a small tier ahead of Metroid. And then Twilight Princess happened. Okay. But it was still like second fiddle, and again launched on 2 different platforms. So I feel like that just by virtue of being a launch game, if it is one, it'll sell okay. Let's get to
this means Doom Dark Ages is no longer a launch title for Switch 2.
I don't know. I don't think Doom would even affect the sales. It's such a different game. It's so different. Doom the Dark Ages. Well, I'm excited for that one, but all right. So they had another big game to show it off. We've seen it already. So we've already seen this game now twice, right? They just had it back in February. They announced it last year, but we didn't see gameplay. Then this year we had the February Pokemon Presents, and now we have this where they pseudo confirmed it's coming out holiday. Right? It's coming in November, which I think most of us expected to be a November game. So how are we thinking on ZA now? This is the second time we've seen gameplay. I know if Beat 'em Ups was here, he'd just be bitching about the windows. Is what it is. He did a whole podcast episode and a whole video bitching about the windows. I get it. They definitely are using a lot of flat textures all over the place. In a city that is based on like Paris or something and probably shouldn't have so many flat textures. But I gotta admit, every time I see the actual battle system, I get excited. The battles look so much fun. Like they really changed up the core gameplay in a way that makes me want to play, regardless of, there's still some weird things. A lot of NPCs just kind of standing around doing nothing, like they're not alive. Like you're in a city that doesn't look bustling. It's a city. It should look bustling, but it doesn't. So I get the criticisms there. Like, look, this chick's just standing there doing nothing, like a stone. Do you see that? She's with her Pokemon. She's like, what are you, a statue? Or are you a person? Look at that person too, just standing there looking off in the distance, not moving. Like that guy at least was drinking a coffee. It's like it's a little weird. That being said, how are we feeling? Like Josh, get your thoughts. How are you feeling on Pokemon Legends EA? Are you sold enough yet to pick it up, or are you kind of like, we're not there yet?
No, I'm totally sold. Like as somebody who doesn't really have Pokemon's not really a nostalgia pull for me because I was a little bit too old when it came out. Like I was like a freshman in high school when the first games came out, or like even close to, or no, that's when the cartoon came out. When the first games launched, was it like late
98? I think 96, something like that.
So regardless, I was in high school. So like I was still playing my 64, but Pokemon wasn't doing much for me, right? It wasn't until like late 2000, I finally picked up a Game Boy Color and played through Pokemon Yellow. That being said, the Switch literally revitalized it or brought to life my love for Pokemon. I loved Let's Go. I loved Sword and Shield. I had a great time with Pearl. I couldn't put Pearl down. I literally, it pulled me in so much. I completed Arceus. I've completed every Pokemon game. So that in and of itself, for anybody that knows me, is saying something. And the moment I saw the Pokeball get tossed and catch a Pokemon, and it kind of bounced around and it made the sound, I was like, I'm in. I'm ready. I'm ready. This I thought Arceus was super fun. I loved the way they mixed up the capturing mechanics and the way that you could battle and all that kind of stuff. This battling looks even better, and I can't wait to jump in. And yeah, so again, I mean, we cover Nintendo stuff. They don't have to do much to sell us, at least sell me. If it says Pokemon or published by Nintendo, I'm pretty much pulling the trigger on it. But I did have a moment where I was like, yo, I'm ready to play this. Whereas before I was like, oh, it's cool, I'll pick it up when it comes out. But when I saw that, I was like, now I want to play a Pokemon game right now. So yeah, they're working their magic on me for sure.
Eric, what are you thinking? Did you enjoyed our Legends Arceus? Didn't you?
Yeah, I only played a tiny bit of it.
Oh, didn't enjoy it enough. That's okay.
I don't know. I got lost in it and just
Gave
said
up?
screw it. Yeah, I still had Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom to play.
So how's this game feeling to you? This
I-
particular one?
I don't know. It's another Pokemon game. I don't know.
They'll never
kind
get you back, will they?
Probably not. Sadly,
Can't recapture the magic.
Sadly, probably not. I mean, there are definitely parts of this that look amazing. And it was kind of cool to actually understand the whole ZA thing now, finally, where you're ranking up from Z to A. That was kind of cool to finally figure out why the hell they called it ZA.
Bro.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, I do kind of like the,
Or maybe D ranking
yeah,
to A
yeah,
to Z.
you could,
Arizona.
you could. Yeah.
Yep.
It is kind of interesting though, the different like times between like day and night and the Royale versus the catching zones versus this and that. I mean, it's a cool idea. I like the ideas that they're doing. It's just I don't know. I don't have a lot of time to game, and it's just not something that I don't know. With the thing that we're going to be talking about later in lending games, I might play it.
Oh, you might borrow it from me.
Yeah.
I see what you're
Yeah.
saying.
Oh wait, I don't know if we can because we're not on the same family plan.
Oh, whose plan are you on?
Corey's.
Just get on mine.
Yeah.
You're never
Yeah.
gonna see him in person.
I mean, there's that. So
I was on
Yeah.
his plan once too, and then I
Yeah.
had kids.
fair enough. So, yeah. So I mean, it looks like it could be interesting. There's definitely things that I could see how it could be fun. I don't know. It just Pokemon is just kind of like I don't know. It just kind of lost its
Magic
spark
for
me.
you.
Yeah.
Damn.
Sadly.
Damn. Well, I will force you to play. I will borrow it
Right?
to you
Yeah.
digitally.
Yeah.
Maybe physically. That's how I get it. Stash, how we feeling on Legends EA?
Still feeling really good. I liked the last trailer. I like the one we got today. I'm excited about the battle system. I really like the changes there.
The battle system looks so good.
Yeah, like I love the turn-based battles, right? And there's plenty of RPGs I play that employ the classic turn-based, but I like the fact that you can actually they show the HUD here and you can map the attacks to your face buttons, and they were actually moving around the battlefield. Like this looks fun to me. As far as the criticisms that the game's been getting, I'll be honest with you, I haven't heard any of it. But that's just because I'm not consuming some of the things that you said about the Windows. I have no idea. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. All I can presume is he doesn't like the way the windows look.
It's because he said he examined what was it? All the Pokemon games that have been on Switch, beat 'em ups did, and progressively the windows have gotten less and less detailed to the point now they're completely flat textures. They're not even like 3D models anymore. So it's like, what is this? Is this a building or is this like a picture of a building?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I never bought a game for the Windows. I'll tell you that, man.
Yeah.
I know. I think he's just pointing out that like it's kind of weird
Right.
that we have a thing that's only in a city, but then cities in the other games somehow look better. It's kind of weird.
I mean, the water.
I appreciate the observation.
Water.
Yeah, it's never gonna be the Windows and Spider-Man on PS5 with the ray tracing and the reflection. You got to know what we get here, right? You got to know the history of Pokemon. Pokemon is never, and we've talked about this before so many times, but Pokemon's not a graphical powerhouse. If that's what you're looking for, if that's what, like, I would say to anyone, don't hold your breath for that, right? If it happens, great. But we're here for the gameplay, right? We're here for the fun of it.
I'll say this: the trees look like they've progressed from N64. We might be at GameCube level now.
Yeah. Again, it's the same thing. Like, this trailer hasn't done anything to change the way I feel about it graphically, and that
Yeah,
I'm indifferent to it. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't keep me up at night.
yeah.
It's fine, man. It looks like Pokemon, man.
I'm gonna be honest.
I'm here for the fun.
I'll be honest too. Yeah, I know. Look, one of the biggest IPs in the world. Obviously, you can argue that we should expect better with the visuals, but I just want to say this: after Scarlet and Violet, I don't think we're at the point to worry about visuals anymore. We just need the game to run well
There is that.
and not be buggy as shit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thanks for mentioning that. Like, again, performance is key, right? Like, if I had a list of things, right, that I would want hypothetically for this game, and again, we talked about this before, but performance is first. That's first and foremost. If the developers came to us and said, "Hey guys, we can fix one thing. What do you want us to do? Better graphics or great performance at like 60 FPS?" But yeah, dude, give me the performance all day.
You think this is 60?
No, I'm saying, like, give me that. Like, I would much rather have that if I could have anything.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
We just talked about that with Prime 4 with like, hey, I'd rather have downgraded visuals on Switch 1
Yeah.
with a constant 60 than upgraded visuals, but now we're at 30. No, 60 feels so much better.
Yep.
Cool.
I would just say call Monolith Soft and have them help you.
Well, I mean, Nintendo did have to apologize on behalf of the Pokemon company, so I kind of feel like Nintendo might be paying more attention to QA on future Pokemon games because it's embarrassing them as a company, not just the Pokemon company. To have the game just from a performance perspective have so many issues compared to all of other Nintendo big games. Like, we can complain about like how, man, they really screwed up the RPG stuff in Mario Golf. Yeah, but no one was saying Mario Golf didn't run well. It was buggy as shit, and you were falling through the map. Like, that wasn't stuff you have concerns about in Nintendo games. You had to have concerns about that in the last Pokemon ones. But then again, Legend Arceus was fine. And in the same vein, maybe this one's fine. Maybe the real concern should be for Gen 10. But we haven't seen that yet. So it's really hard to really say anything about it. That being said, I think it looks good. I understand some of the complaints. There'll always be graphical complaints. I don't think Pokemon's ever going to be one of the best looking franchises Nintendo has coming out. What I care about is the gameplay. I loved what they did with the gameplay in Arceus. I like some of the ideas in Scarlet and Violet. Didn't always like the execution. I love what they're doing with combat here. I hope this becomes a staple that we see in Gen 10. They bring some of this over there because it's one of those things that, like, one thing I didn't like about Scarlet and Violet was after the catching mechanics in Legends Arceus, it felt like such a downgrade going back to traditional catching mechanics. So I'm kind of hoping that maybe they realize that, and that I'm assuming after this battle system, it'll be very hard for me to go back to the old one. Because like this one just feels so much more dynamic. Adds an extra layer of skill to the combat besides just selecting attacks. You got to move, you got to time things. You can actually help your Pokemon dodge. So I really think that's. I mean, look, it looks like they're doing to battle mechanics what they did to catching mechanics in the last Legends game, and that's what has me excited right now. The story and everything else, I probably won't remember it when I'm done with the game, but I'm gonna remember how fun the battles are, and that's what I'm hoping carries forward to Gen 10. But we'll see.
I'm kind of wondering if they're just gonna leave, the mainline gens the same and use these Legends to kind of expand and do different types of things, improve on the catching mechanics, improve on the battle mechanics, and then you still have, for those that like your main line, you still have your main quote unquote main line, and then
you
for
gotta
those
say
that,
quote unquote because technically
right,
they said Legends is mainline.
Right. And for those that like the different type of experimental, opening it up a little bit more, things like that, then you have your own quote unquote main line of Pokemon. where they have kind of the two branches. So
Well,
you get to kind of pick, if you like the old style, here you go. If you like this new open kind of testy things, here you go. You got your game.
It's kind of
You
like what we thought they would do with Let's Go. Like we thought they would make a series of Let's Go games, but they never did.
I do have one quick question though. We're all kind of just, I think we're all in agreement that, we prefer performance kind of over graphics and things like that. Do you guys think it's because, of our age and, the fact that we grew up with, NES games, SNES games, things that don't look necessarily the greatest in the world versus, nowadays where, and I'm not nothing against the people nowadays where, graphics is, as good as it's ever been. And that is a driving force in a lot of games nowadays. So I can see, kind of how people would like, nowadays would like the graphical aspect of it versus the, that type of thing. What do you guys think on that one?
All right, I got an easy response to this. It ain't about what we grew up with. The most popular games today with the youth look like shit. The youth doesn't give a shit about graphics. They don't. Minecraft, Roblox, just some of the shittiest looking video games out there. Fortnite, yeah, looks really, really good. A lot of kids are playing on their phones, on their Switches. The game looks like shit. They don't care. They care about the gameplay being fun and what their friends are playing. We have seen the industry, the AAA industry in particular, go heavy into the graphics and watch the sales tank. It's just not what's appealing. They're forgetting that gameplay is king, and then these other games come along with these smaller budgets and they blow up. There were more kids talking about what was it? The year that dude, Balatro. Prime example. Shit tons of people playing that game. That's a pixel game.
Vampire Survivors also.
Yeah, like there's so many like of the most popular games today are not actually that graphically impressive. I think what happened is graphics used to be this measuring stick for what made people want to get the next big system, the next big thing. There was all this pressure to keep making the graphics better and better and better. But I think once we got to the PlayStation 4 era, that kind of is where graphics sort of peaked, where people are like, okay, we don't really need it to look any better than this anymore. We need better gameplay. But then companies kept chasing graphics. PS5, we got to go higher and higher. And yet, you look at even on PC, the most popular graphics card on Steam right now today is still a 1080. It's like 5 generations ago.
Yep.
People are gaming at 1080p. That's the most popular resolution to game at still, despite the 5090s and all this stuff out there. And here we are talking about how, people worrying about, oh, well, Switch 2 won't get all the AAA games. Dude, it's more powerful than some of the PCs people are using to play games with. What are we talking about? It's all about the gameplay. I think the biggest thing is things are starting to turn in the other direction. The older we get, the more it's becoming clear that people care more about the gameplay than they actually do about the graphics. And some of these companies just don't get it. They'll still drop a game. There's still going to be games coming to Switch 2 as an example. We'll see. Let's say it's Assassin's Creed Shadows, right? Recent release. Looks gorgeous. I play it on PC. Looks amazing. Say they bring that over to Switch 2. They bring that over to Switch 2, and it's running at 30 FPS and keeps dipping to 15 FPS. People are going to bitch. They would rather the graphics get pared back so you can at least run at a constant 30. People would prefer it to be pared back to run at 60 because people are starting to realize that, honestly, fun gameplay is what keeps people around, not how pretty a Vista looks. Not how many pixels you're pushing to the screen. It's all about gameplay. So I kind of feel like it's turned the opposite direction, but I don't know. That's just me examining the industry that I'm covering every single day. And obviously I'm a Nintendo guy, where we all know Nintendo isn't the company that pushes the highest fidelity visuals all the time. Don't get me wrong. They're really great with their art styles. So there is that, but I also PC game and I do like high-end visuals. And as like you were talking at one point, I was like, but I want both. You can have performance and graphics. You can, but you got to spend the money for it. If you want the best possible performance and graphics on console, you got to buy a $700 PS5 Pro. That just is what it is. If you want the best of both. PC wise, we both know we built new gaming PCs. They're really expensive if you want to get towards that high end, and we're not even at the highest end. So I don't know. Those are just my thoughts. Maybe I'm crazy though. I'm gonna shut up. What are you thinking, Stash?
Well, yeah, I think you guys both brought up some really good points, right? Like Eric, I think there's a lot of truth to what you said, in that because we grew up, during the Atari NES era, that it's a lot easier for us to appreciate today's graphics versus a younger person who has only seen great graphics, right? I think it's almost similar sometimes to like growing up. I remember like my grandparents would try and show me like black and white movies, right? And I'd watch them. But nobody else I knew would ever watch a black and white movie at my age. I mean, what are you doing? There's color out, right? And I think there's a little bit of a similarity there. Like things, games, media that don't have great graphics can still be appreciated, but I don't think it's going to be very, very often as much, right? So to your point, Eric, I do think that is a big difference for us in that, yeah, indie games, for example, a lot of indie games don't have great graphics. A lot of them are pixel games. A lot of them are like, it's a pixel art style. That is literally the art style. And I think they look beautiful. But a younger person today may think that is very basic, right? And so it is what it is. Now, when it comes to graphics, Nate, that you mentioned, I think it depends. For multiplayer experiences like the ones you were mentioning, yeah, I don't think anyone's really looking at the graphics, right? And I think that's good because they shouldn't be. You're supposed to be playing the game. These are fast-paced games also that you were mentioning. So you're really not going to be walking around looking at the vistas and enjoying whatever graphics you have. You're going to get killed if you do that. You can't do that. I think there's a genre. There's genres where people want really rich graphics and presentation and storytelling, and I think that's going to be in your open world games, the Grand Theft Autos of the world, right? People want ultra realistic graphics, the Assassin's Creeds, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, right? That is a game where I've stopped and looked at the vista, and I'm like, damn, this looks so good, right? Now I did not buy the game for that, but damn, I'm gonna stop and appreciate this because it looks really good. So I think it's these rich open world or these rich RPG experiences where it's a single player game. You're playing it, man, and you're living in that world. And I think when you're living in a world like that, it is nice to be able to appreciate the art style and the graphics and how far we've come with graphics. But outside of that, like there's not a lot. Like I look at a game like Silent Hill 2 Remake that I reviewed late last year on PS5. Beautiful game, phenomenal survival horror game, right? That is a game that, because of its graphical improvement and performance and its improvement in the sound and everything, that has taken that game to the next level. It's basically the same game. The gameplay's been improved a little bit here and there, but it's the graphics that really actually take that game to the next level. So I think there are a lot of games out there that graphics can take it to the next level and can really make it that much more immersive, which is really cool. So I think both of you guys are right. You guys can both be right. You both brought up great points. I think it's really just the multiplayer games that, like the Fortnites, the Minecraft, these social almost experiment games where everyone's playing together. That's what it's about. Mm-hmm. It's not about the graphics. It's about hanging out with your friends and enjoying the game, and obviously not dying. So many of these games are like frenetic. I mean, you can't be messed around taking in the scenery. So I think there's a market for all of this, right? And I get it. People love the world of Pokemon, and they probably want some of the things I was mentioning that we see in Final Fantasy, right? Assassin's Creed, these rich, beautiful worlds, because it's like you spend so many hours in it
Mhm.
that you really want it to look beautiful. But fact of the matter is, it's not. And so if that's what immerses you more into the game, and because it's not graphically, a graphical showcase, you're going to be less immersed. There's so many other games to play, right?
Mhm.
Like the amount of options we have today versus growing
Oh
up
my
is
God.
insane.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we eat good every single day, and
Mhm.
we will. If they didn't release any more video games today, we'd probably still be eating good until it was time for me to leave Earth. For
Yeah,
real. Think
logs
about
are-
all the games we have.
Yeah.
No doubt. No doubt. I think, like, as you guys were talking about this stuff, it made me think back to like Rogue Squadron on the GameCube and
Oh, yeah.
how the sun would change with the time of day based on the real time clock, right? Depending on if you were playing at golden hour, you'd see golden hour. That kind of stuff was crazy. I think one of the areas where graphics can be incredibly jarring was the first wave in Mario Kart. Right? When you go from having levels like Moo Moo Meadows and like it's at golden hour, the lighting looks really great. The textures are all really, and then you get these mobile game tracks that are like so flat. That's where stuff can be pretty jarring, But like Prime was saying too, I mean, when my son was cranking 90s in Fortnite, he had his graphics put at as low as possible and his performance as high as possible. He wanted everything at 120 as high as it could be, whatever, 240, I don't, whatever. Like I play on Switch most of the time on my Xbox, but like he didn't care what he didn't care what the textures looked like in Fortnite. He just wanted to be he needed every bit of performance out of that thing so that it wouldn't lag, And obviously he's not the norm. I'm not saying that by any means, but like there's a whole community of gamers that play COD and Madden, and that's it.
Yep.
Mhm.
Right? Like, and then you've got your PlayStation fans that love their cinematic, like, I know some people call them walking simulators or whatever. Like, there's a place for all of it. When it comes to
There is.
Pokemon, I look forward to the day that it looks like Pokemon Snap, right? Where there's beautiful lighting effects, the world is lush, there's Pokemon everywhere. And it looks like a next generation game. Like I'm looking forward to that. Until then, it has not taken away from the fun. I've not looked at a window one time. Like it's not me. That doesn't mean that that's everybody. I'm not saying that at all. But
I agree.
I'm looking at the Pokemon. I'm wondering what am I gonna am I gonna find a shiny or whatever the
Right.
case may be?
That's
like
the gameplay hook. Like that's it's still hooking me
mhm.
since 98, right? That's what I'm excited about is, am I going to find any cool Pokemon? Am I going to find something rare? Am I going to find a shiny? Do I need to swap any of these guys out so I can level them up? I'm thinking strategy, like I'm just like, there's so many other things going on in my head that I'm not looking at the windows. Now I can appreciate that beat 'em ups is looking at the windows and observing that, and that's fine. And he's probably right. I mean, I'm looking at the windows right now. He's probably right. I just don't care. It just doesn't bother me.
Mhm.
He can be 100% right. It's not going to bother me though. Is it going to bother you guys? I've never let a window bother me.
No, but I will say this: when Xbox showed off Forza Horizon 5, and they said you can see the reflection of the car next to you, like you can in the paint.
Yeah.
I want to see Bowser's reflection in my pipe frame, as I'm passing him. I mean, I'm being facetious, but like it does, like there is something a bit appealing about that. Like I would love to see what some of Nintendo's games would look like cranked to 11. You know what I mean? Like I think that would be
too.
I think it would be incredible. that doesn't mean I'm not gonna play them because they're not that, you know. I
Mhm.
think I
Exactly.
think if we look historically at what the last generation has taught us is don't make any promises about 120, 4K, all that kind of stuff. If you're like the most important thing to keep the conversation semi-positive is don't let your game dip below 60 anymore. Is really I think what
It
most
is.
people are after. And if it dips below 30, like
I mean,
what's
if
happening
it
at this
does dip
point?
below 60, at least have it be a locked, type of thing. If it's a locked 30, it's still different than a variable, could drop to 20, could drop to 15, could go up to 60, could,
Yeah.
you just don't know what you're going to get. If it's a locked 30, I think for me, it's still okay. But, if you're going to have the variable, that's when you kind of start getting the hiccups, I think, a little bit on some of that stuff.
And I'm only saying that because that's where the
No,
conversations go.
absolutely.
That's
No,
where
I get
these
it. I get it.
games
Yeah, absolutely.
that's where people get frustrated.
Mhm.
You know, PlayStation cardboard, the box that the console came in says 8K on the side of
Right.
it. Like who's doing that? Most of us are playing on 2K monitors, I assume, if we have a setup. And I know 4K monitors are getting more and more regular. They're more ready available now than they were when I was picking up my Series X and whatnot. But like I think to keep the community happy, have these games at a consistent frame rate is first and foremost. And I think that's what gets so exciting with like
Yeah.
the DLSS and the potential for what the Switch 2 could do,
Right.
because it gives more, it puts more into the hands of the devs that they don't have to try to squeeze everything into these consoles. They can build these lesser games and have AI and machine learning kick in and help them out there. And I think it's really what's going to make the Switch 2 shine.
So,
Yeah.
let's just briefly touch upon Tomodachi Life, just because.
Yeah.
Look, this is my least
Hey.
exciting thing. Like, look, this was the show closer.
I was gonna say, this is the one more thing.
This was new, right? This is a new one. This is not bringing the old one back. They're making a new one, which is exciting. Comes out in 2026. I wasn't a huge fan of the original one, so it's not really the kind of game for me. Does it? Anyone on here like Tomodachi Life?
I have a fun story.
Sure.
So my daughters were very young when this game came out, and there's no other game that I would hear more giggles than with Tomodachi Life. They both had their own copy. They would both so today, after it launched and after they had put the trailer up on YouTube, I text them and they happened to be together, and I FaceTimed them on one phone and sent the trailer on the other, and they lost their minds. Right. And I got to hear stories about what they used to do with their brother, how they would end up doing concerts and then teaching the Mii's swear words, but their swear words were not all that bad because they were still pretty young at the time. So, and they just had such an amazing time. They literally, I have a screenshot and a screen recording of their faces when they saw that this was coming out, and they lost it. My Discord has been going crazy. Like, there is a very, very large community that loves the craziness that is Tomodachi Life. So I'm here for it.
Yep. I mean, for me, I've never played the first one. I can see the appeal. It's probably not something that I'm going to play, but I can definitely see how it could be fun and definitely, interesting.
Yeah, look, I played the original. It just didn't click for me. Just didn't do it. But I'm happy for the people that have been wanting this game for a long time. It comes up a lot on my live streams. People they just wanted a port. They weren't even expecting a new one. So it's really exciting they're doing a new one. And I'm really happy for everyone that's been patiently waiting for this. The original sold very well, like 7 million. So there definitely is an audience for this. I think ideally for many, this should have come earlier in the Switch's life. But hey, better late than never for something no one thought we were ever going to get another one of. So which is crazy. It's still 7 million. How do you not make another one? But yeah, so I'm very happy for everyone excited for this. I believe Stash was not too hyped about it. Not your kind of game.
Yeah, no, and it's more or less that I don't play games where there's not, I guess you could say, like a defined end, because
Point.
yeah, and it's because I time is it's the greatest commodity, right?
Mm.
We don't have a ton of it. And if I'm gonna be reviewing games, working another job, you, Nate, Josh, you guys got kids. Eric, you work all the time too. Obviously, I know that we just don't have infinite amount of time. There are a lot of games I want to play, and like, I could veg out and play like NBA 2K for hours. I could probably play WWE for hours, especially if it controlled like WCW versus NWO Revenge. Then I could
Reach.
literally play it for life, like NWO.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? There's games that I've went down that rabbit hole, and it's a lot of fun. There's games that I won't play. I won't play World of Warcraft. I was invited to play this probably 15, oh god, it's almost how many decade and a half ago at least.
It came out in 2004.
Yeah,
I
it
know
was when I
it.
was working at Islands in San Diego when I was managing, and they asked me to join because they're like, "Oh, you're a gamer?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, of course, dude. Like, that's all I do when I'm not working."
Mhm.
But I told them, I said, I can't, man. Like, I really, honestly, I appreciate the offer, and it means a lot to me that you would, invite your manager to be part of this. But it's like I can't, because if I play this, nothing else will get played. I'll literally miss.
Mm-hmm.
I'll miss an entire Nintendo generation, entire PlayStation generation. So it's games like this, right? Like, I won't play The Sims. That ain't for me. The lady loves it. I like watching her play it. She plays Animal Crossing, loves it. Also, I really don't play Animal Crossing because of that. There's no end to it. But I will say, I have a lot of appreciation for these games. I do. I know there's a huge fan base for this. In fact, I talked to you about it before. People were on Twitter yesterday saying basically they were going to shit their pants today if Tomodachi Life or Rhythm Heaven gets announced. And I'm like, oh shit, they both did. Like, a lot of people are shitting their pants right
It's
now.
a
This is
messy
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I was like genuinely happy for them. And I know you were too. Like, that's great.
Mhm.
I'm glad they're getting fed. But yeah, I'm not gonna play it. I think Michaela would probably like this. There's a good chance that I will buy this for her. I think she'll like it a lot.
Okay. Should we move on to our next topic, bud?
Yeah.
All right. What are we going
Close
to talk
up
about?
here. Okay, let's talk about. I want to talk about the virtual card sharing, and then we'll
man.
kind of do the general thoughts on the direct.
All right. Let's get to that virtual card sharing.
So this has been interesting, obviously. First off, I'm glad that it was announced today.
Mhm.
That was one of my biggest takeaways, because guys, this is good that it was announced today. Otherwise, it would have been announced on April 2nd. And this is not hype. Like, for a console reveal of the magnitude of April 2nd, this would not be super hype. In fact, people would probably be walking away from April 2nd saying, what was that all about? You don't want that to be a takeaway.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is good that they did it today, because now we're all talking about it today. It's getting the spotlight, the attention it deserves. And now we're trying to figure out, okay, what's the benefit to this? What's the value here? Seeing a lot of people on Twitter put out a lot of different things. a lot of different questions people are asking as to what does this really mean for me? It, from what I can gather, when you have to connect your Switch locally, so on the local Wi-Fi. So Nate, Eric, you
Mhm.
guys live across the street from each other, right?
Pretty close, yeah.
You're the perfect example because Eric, you could go over to Nate's house and you could borrow a physical game,
Mhm.
right? But you can't go over to Nate's house and say, "Hey, can I borrow a digital game?"
Mhm.
Not a way to do it. So Nintendo's saying, "Hey, if you're part of Nate's family plan, which you can have eight people total on the family plan."
Yep.
So basically, if you're a kid, right, and you have someone who lives on your street that plays Nintendo too, and you guys borrow games like we used to do back in the 80s, 90s, right? Where we'd actually hand someone a cartridge. Nintendo's saying you can do that now with digital games. All you got to do is go over to Nate's house, connect one time wirelessly on Nate's Wi-Fi network, just once. And you can now borrow digital games and you can keep them for 14 days.
Yep.
And prior to this announcement, there was no way to lend out a digital game, right?
Yeah. Though. So how? Some people seem confused about this. So the way
They are.
the way it works now is you can have all your digital library on 2 switches. Okay, so you could have your main switch. You have to set it as your primary, and then you can log your account into a second switch and be a secondary account with a different person as the main account there. And then on your switch that you're a primary, any other account on that system can play all the games on that specific switch because the primary account is the owner of all the digital games. And then you can go, as they're playing those games, you can go on your secondary switch, use your account that owns all those games, and still play those games on a secondary account. So, like, my Switch is not actually my main Switch for my account. I'm a secondary on my Switch, whereas Yulia's Switch is my primary. So then all my kids can play all the digital games with their accounts on her Switch. And people think that's going away. And that isn't what's happening. One, you have to opt into this. Let's start with that. This isn't just by default. You have to decide you want to participate in this. So that's number one. So they're not taking away that. The 2 switch thing you can currently do with primary and secondary, which is how Xbox works as well. Eric and I have done that to share Xbox games. They're not taking that away. What they're doing is they're saying, hey, you don't need this primary secondary bullshit anymore. You could take 2 separate switches with their own accounts, and you can have those 2 switches just share games between each other, period. Just share them in general all the time. Those 2 switches only have to be in the same room one time to pair them together. The system link you saw there, it pairs them together. So you have a his and her. Me on my Switch, Yulia on her Switch. We can pair them. We only have to do that one time. Then after that, over the internet, we can share our digital library to each other. Now, is that as convenient as a primary and secondary? No. But then on my own Switch, I don't have to worry about everything defaulting to an account that isn't the account I want to use. So I can actually make my account, mine be the primary, her can be the primary, and I can still give her access to all of my digital games. Now, I just can't play them at the same time, and that's a bummer. But that's okay. I'm okay with that. But again, they're not taking away the primary, secondary. They're just saying, hey, two different primary accounts can now system link one time, and then over the internet, you can keep sharing your games. Now, besides that, they're also enabling something we literally couldn't do. Because you could always, as I said, fudge around and get 2 systems to have the games. But they're not. Now they're saying, hey, set that aside. You have kids? They have their own Switches? You can share your games with them now. You can lend them to them. Now, that does have to be in person, unfortunately. But hey, that's what the whole idea of the family account thing is. You're a family. I've got 2 adults and 3 kids. I can now share my library with their Switches. Right now, I can only do that with 2 Switches. Now, all 5 Switches in my house can borrow games from me.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge. That's absolutely monumental. And if my kids or my fiance, they decide to go buy a digital copy of a game, hey, guess what? I don't have to buy Tears of the Kingdom 5 times. I can just lend it to them when I'm not using it.
I wonder if eventually they're going to do something along the lines of, you can buy like a 2-user pack. You can lend this out to somebody and you can still play it on your, your system.
I doubt they'll do that. They're trying to treat this like it's physical. Where if you lend it out, you can't use it. That's an intentional thing. Because if you want that convenience, they want you to buy another copy.
I'm saying that's kind of what I'm saying is you kind of almost purchase a second copy at like maybe a reduced price type of thing.
Sorry, I'm laughing because we're talking about Nintendo reducing prices.
I realize that, but that's kind of I kind of see like a subscription model type of thing where
it is a subscription. You already have to have NSO to even do this.
That.
Yeah, I know. I get what you're saying. That sounds nice. Nintendo doesn't. They're still charging $60 for Mario Kart after 11 years. Like I just don't. Nintendo. Look, I'd rather not assume future functionality because Nintendo has a hard time getting current functionality to work.
There is that.
So, but here's the thing though: that borrowing to your family members or anyone who's on your family account, like if I get you back on my family account, I'd probably be system linked with Yulia, but I could still borrow you games. Like, hey, if I'm not playing Pokemon this week, hey, you want to try it out this week? Here you go, just borrow it.
Yeah.
Or if you bought a digital copy of something and you're like, hey man, you should really try out this indie game.
Yeah.
I can. You can just borrow it to me.
Right.
And then I can decide like, hey, if we're tired of because what's the point of borrowing game, guys, right? Sometimes it's just because people can't afford them. That's fine. Sometimes it's because you want someone to try something. And maybe if you're like, oh, I really want to play at the same time, maybe they love it so much they buy it for themselves. Like that's what borrowing games is about. So I do think that this system is being looked at super negatively because people think it's taking away what already works.
It's because they don't understand it, dude.
I think it's part of it, and I think Nate, you said this right during the direct. They didn't explain this very well. They made it extremely convoluted for no reason.
Yeah. Oh
It
yeah.
was a little clunky.
I saw Game Explain put out a short on this, and they said because Nintendo confused everyone, here's how it works. It's very fucking simple. Link 2 Switches one time in person, share your games infinitely between each other. No matter what happens, if there's some fuckery, your game comes back to you in 2 weeks if they don't send it back to you before then. And in addition, anyone else on your family account, guess what? You can also share with them. So now you have 8 people on your family account. You can have one person buy all the digital games and just share them with everybody else. Like that, we can't do that right now. This is actually adding stuff that no other system can do. You can't buy digital games on your PlayStation 5 and share it with 8 other PS5s. No, not everyone can't play them at the same time. That's a thing, but it's still like, yeah, okay, can't play them at the same time, but they're not taking away the 2 system ability to do that. They're just adding more.
I guess my question, the reason I think myself and many others are assuming they're taking it away is because why would we need this outside of I understand the family plan sharing, but I don't need this right now. There's no this is making it more difficult to play my games on 2 separate Switches because I have to move them digitally between 2 different Switches. Whereas if the home and primary thing are set up, my cloud is grabbing the save and I'm just playing. And at one point, I think I had 4 different Switches. I had one in my room and one in my office, and I had, memory cards that only had X amount of space on them. So like, as long as I was signed in and had an internet connection, I could play on multiple systems. So that's I think where the possible confusion is at, is like, this is less convenient than what was already there. But outside of the family aspect of it.
But they're not getting rid of that. That still can exist. That's what people are confused about. If you go read all the fine print, they're not getting rid of the primary, secondary thing. You can just keep doing that.
This is a setting too that you can turn on and off.
Yeah, this is like in addition to.
But am I crazy in thinking it just seems redundant?
Well, no. I'll give you one example of this. Okay. So I mentioned how my Switch is secondary. And, my fiance Switch was primary. I was at the airport and the Wi-Fi was down. I couldn't play my Switch anymore. But instead, if we had set up where I was borrowing games, I'd be able to play the games offline.
Okay. That's all I needed to hear. That's perfect because I've had that same issue. I've had
Yeah.
that same exact issue. So yeah,
Yeah,
makes
so like
perfect sense.
that's the one thing it fixes, but you still can just keep it the way that it is, and this is something you turn on and off. You don't have to use it, but it's just there for it's just making NSO like giving more justification for what they're charging for NSO, and then also just I'll say this: they make it sound more convoluted than it probably is, or if it is this convoluted, look, they're trying to pioneer something no one else is doing. No one else is doing this. Steam is maybe the closest. They have that whole family. They have this new family thing they launched for Steam. But I'm just trying to. I think they did a very poor job communicating this, and that's probably why they did it now instead of in the Switch 2 Direct, where it would get buried and be more confusing.
Yeah,
Exactly. It would be the
you guys-
takeaway, right?
yeah. And do you guys think that this points to an all digital console, an all digital SKU for Switch 2?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up because I wanted to bring this up. I think it lends credence to where the future's going, right? It's paving a path to gently move the old people along us to a digital future. Because the young kids are already on board, right? They have been for a long time. So yeah, I definitely think this paves the way. And that was one of the biggest things I thought is they're trying to inch us over a little bit. And I get it. We all know this day's coming. We know Nintendo will be the last ones, right? I think we've all agreed upon that. But that's where I think this is ultimately going, Josh.
The next step is they just need to give us a like an LCD monitor that just keeps track of all of our purchases so we can display them behind us.
Yeah, like a scrolling board.
Yes.
Yeah, I would
like a
say
stat
too,
board.
also to remember along with this, on the official website, they said that it's launching on Switch 1 next month. So it'll be there by the end of April, and it will be there day one on Switch 2. So this was designed intentionally for the whole family of systems. So there's that. Obviously, could this be an all digital one someday? Maybe. I always kind of felt like the Switch 2 Lite has an opportunity to maybe be a digital only one, and people might not like that. It's going to depend, because right now it's pretty 50-50 split right now with physical and digital, but that's on Switch 1. We don't know what it's going to be like on Switch 2, what the split's going to be like. Because here's what they're doing, guys. Bottom line is, you know why they're doing this, why they're making it quote unquote easier to share your digital games, because they want people buying digital games, and they want to get rid of one of the barriers for digital, and that is that you can't share your game with a friend. Well, now you can.
Yeah, this is actually a huge deal. It's just not everyone's grasping it immediately. Like, I was talking to Michaela about it, and I was telling her, I'm like, hey, this is really cool because like my cousin Jim, he loves video games, right? But he doesn't get to play a lot. He's always busy. He's got a kiddo. His heart's there, like you guys know. You really want to play, but it's like you have other things you have to do. And so sometimes I'll tell him about games that I'm playing, right? And I'll be like, yeah, you should try it. But it's not as easy for him to just come over and, drive out into the mountains where I live.
And there's not always demos.
Yeah. And the thing is like, he might be like, hey, can I borrow that game that you just beat? And it's like, oh, sorry, I actually bought it digitally, like it's a digital only game. Because if it's physical too, I'm going to buy it physically. But there's many times I buy games because they're only available digitally. Be like, yeah, I can't borrow it to you because it's digital only. But now I can be like, yeah, just bring your Switch over. Hop on my Wi-Fi. I'll add you to the family plan. You're my cousin. I don't care. I'll add my friends to it. But Nate, you and I were talking about this morning. I brought this up. I love this idea, right? Because if we're going to this digital only future, we have to find ways to, I wouldn't say take advantage of it in like a sense of doing something wrong, but like we we got to make it work for all of us as best as possible. I guess only way to say it. If Switch 2 launches with 20 games, and I can't, if I bought all 20 games, like I'm not going to be able to play all 20 games the day I buy it. But Nate, if you buy 10 and I buy 10 and we're on each other's family plans, all we got to do is meet up one time during the Switch 2 generation
And then we could share.
on the same Wi-Fi. You and I can share games for 8 years.
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome.
That's wild. Yeah. And like, I'm someone too that, by the way, for those in my audience who don't know, I'm not big on replaying games. So once I beat a game, I'm kind of just done with it. So it just sits there.
Yeah.
I can borrow that out. I can let other people play it. The copy's not just sitting there going to waste. It almost creates more value out of that copy, just like a physical copy would if I borrowed it out. So, on the one hand, it does encourage more digital, but on the other hand, it's also, well, digital already exists. It's not going anywhere. It's just making the digital experience better. So, while, yeah, it does encourage more digital sales, that was already happening anyways. We've already seen it. Look, PlayStation doesn't have this feature, and it's 80-20 split. Like, we know what's going on. We know it's going that direction. Heck, we know even when you buy physical games on Switch right now, if it's a AAA third party, you're downloading 3/4 of the game. Might as well just get it digital at that point. The physical card's not even doing anything.
Well, we all remember Xbox and their DRM,
Oh yeah,
right? Like,
yeah. It's
this
funny.
is
People act like
a
this
much better way.
Yeah, people act like this is DRM, and it's like, well, look, if you bought the game, you just get to play the game. There's no DRM for you. Just so you're aware. If you own the game, you own the game. They're not DRMing you. What they are doing is saying, hey, you can share with somebody, and after 2 weeks, the game leaves their system and comes back to yours. And here's the thing. They probably don't even have to connect to the internet for that to happen. It could just be an inbuilt timer with the system. 14 days is hit. They disable the game on your Switch, and they re-enable it back on the other one. They don't even... Your friend probably doesn't even have to get back on the internet to transfer the game back. Because you're not transferring... Because we don't know, but I don't think they're going to make us literally hard transfer the digital copy off to their system. Like they're downloading it off our system. I don't think that's at all how that works.
No, it's just a key.
They're not removing it. They're just giving you the license key to download and play it on your system. I think this ultimately is actually a really, really neat thing. They're pioneering it. But like everything Nintendo tries to pioneer, just wait till PlayStation 6 and Sony, you'll probably have something 10 times better.
And there's
Well, hey, it's okay.
But that's fine.
Someone's got to start it.
Someone's got to start.
Exactly.
You got to break that wall down, because I've been on a few podcasts where the topic literally is physical versus digital. And I've been asked to go on because obviously I'm a huge proponent for physical, and I have a million reasons why. Okay. This is one of them, right? This is literally one of them. Another one, though, is that you can't put your digital games in a will. You can't put your accounts in a will. I can put all my physical games in a will and give it to my godson. Here you go. Here's the Nintendo collection. I can't do that with my digital games. You know what I mean? Like there's odd things about digital. This is one of the ones that's up until now, there's no way to lend out your digital game. And now there is. So this is good. Breaking the wall down. Microsoft, Sony, please go one up them. Right? Make this better for everybody. And then just keep doing it. Because that's how it's going to get better.
Yeah. See, and one thing I will say, I got to give Nintendo credit. They're trying something new. Yeah. And I like that. Like they're trying to be forward thinking on this all digital future and trying to make it just like, they're big on family. And that's why they're saying family accounts. This is going to be really nice. We see a problem with our own families. We're like trying to borrow these digital games to our kids. Like we don't really have a clean way to do that unless we do the secondary primary thing. But what if you have more than one kid? And you can't do that with all three kids. And so, yeah, I see what Nintendo's going. This is probably like an inbuilt thing they thought of as they were using Switch themselves in their own homes. They were like, hey, this is kind of like sharing these digital only games. It's kind of a pain in the ass.
Actually, so this kind of gave me another thought, because I kind of like how I was saying you can buy users and stuff like that. Do you think this would lead to an expanded family pass where they do like 12 people in the family and they charge more for it. Or what they could offer is, you have your base family of 8, and then if you want to add a 9th person, 10th person, so on and so forth, you can just pay X number per person more per year.
I feel like
type of thing.
That will not be the case because Nintendo's intent of the family plan is there's so few families. They intend for it to be like you and your kids. That's really what, if you actually read about the family plan, like they really don't intend for it to be the way people do it, where they're with sharing it with friends and cousins and people all over the world. That's not actually.
I pay for 2 of the expansion
that's not
family
the intent behind it. It's supposed to be mom, dad, and your kids. That's what it's supposed to be. So you're asking for them to expand it, which clearly means that, like, hey, now we know. It's one of those where Nintendo can have that plausible deniability. Well, a family of a mom and dad can have 4 kids, or 6 kids or whatever, and like a farm family, and cool. Or if we start to expand it, then what we're doing is saying, hey, instead of getting more NSO subscriptions and making those 8 people pay for a whole new batch, we're just going to let them come on for cheaper onto somebody else's. And now we're selling less games because now we're letting the games be borrowed to more people. Like, it's a whole convoluted thing where they got to be careful with this system, because if you set it up where like one person buys all the digital games and their family is like 20 big and the other 20 never have to buy a game, you're losing money.
Yeah, but only one person can play the game at a time.
But it doesn't matter. If one person's buying all the digital games, you can't play all the games at once anyways. Literally. I could borrow the game to my son. He's playing it right now. I'm playing a different game. When he's done playing it and I'm done playing it, I want that game back. He sends it back to me. I play that.
Here's the other thing, though, too. They also did not say that, once you lend out your game, that your save files stay.
Oh, no, they're not messing with your save files. No,
not the original. The person you lend it out to.
I think the saves are going to be attached to our cloud data.
There's a little thing they say. They say your save data will not be erased.
Yes, the lender, but the lendee, the person who gets it,
after the 14 days.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the save data is tied to your cloud account. So like when I borrow to Unate, it'll go to your cloud.
After the game is returned, the borrower, so the person who lended it, still has their save data. So they'll start where they left off if they borrow again or purchase the game. Yeah, everyone keeps their save data.
Okay, no, and I just, they didn't say that in the.
Well, again, this goes down to their poor, their really poor communication way. They should have made this. They should have just did the PlayStation simple thing when Xbox was trying to do that convoluted piece of shit, and PlayStation's like, here's how you share your game. All they had to do was have 2 people walk in with a Switch, flick it. Oh, the game's on their system now.
Mm-hmm.
Returned in 14 days. Got it. Done. It could have just made this like super easy to explain. And they just didn't do it that way.
One thing that I think could be nice of this is, it gets to like day 13 and you can, instead of it automatically going back to the person, you can request to keep it for another 14 at like day 13. And, the owner has to just approve.
That might be, that might be included. I have a feeling that like everything isn't explained yet.
Mm-hmm.
There's things about this we don't know, because let's say, I'm going to borrow it to it's a longer game and I want to borrow it to my fiance for like a month.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you can. Obviously you can. It comes back to you and then you just tap the button and send it right back. But
that's kind of annoying.
But I can also say this. When I borrowed a game for 14 days, most people will be done with the game after 14 days, to be fair. But for people that aren't, it's like, okay, well, I might want the game back before then anyways. We don't have it to test it. We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing with this test is we'd have to wait.
Mm-hmm.
We'd have to wait 13 days to see if there's an ability to request an extension from the original borrower, or if I, as like Sam lending you something, if I could tap on there and be like, no, they can have it for the next month.
Yeah.
And if I can even pick a day that I want it to come back.
I want it back, can I have it back type of thing. You can ask for it back, obviously.
Well, yeah, I believe I was reading in the Q&A thing. I think the person who lends it out, they lend it to somebody and they want the game back. The lender can actually override them and get the game back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which that's the way it should be.
Yeah, that's the equivalent of going over to their house and be like, give my game back.
My game back.
I texted you. You didn't bring it over.
So that seemed to be in the Q&A and I like that too. Because even if I lend a game to my kid and it comes back after 14 days, well, then all of a sudden something happens and I'm in the hospital and now I'm like, oh crap, I want to play that game. I don't want my kid to have to
either that
go through the process to send it back to me. I'll just hit a button and bring it back.
Either that, Nate, they do something wrong, you can just take the game away from them.
Well,
If they don't have games on their system, they can't play their system.
Well, okay. Well, my kids are going to still be requesting physical games for their Christmas birthday. So.
But you know what I'm saying. I mean, you could take the game away from them, and they wouldn't be able to play it. I mean, if they had no physical games,
I hear you.
They wouldn't be able to play.
You want to play Minecraft? Cool. Well, I bought one copy.
Yep.
I'm borrowing it to you.
Yep.
And when you fuck off, I'm taking it back.
Yep.
This is really cool. Like, let me ask you guys, growing up, obviously you borrowed games to friends, like you did swaps, right?
Yeah, all the time.
Obviously not permanent swaps, but you're like, hey, I want to borrow X game for a while. What game do you want to borrow? And they'll look at your games, right?
Yeah.
When you're a kid, especially, if your friend lives 20, 30 minutes the other direction, and then you got to ask your parents, hey, would you mind? I know you just worked all day and you're probably really tired. Would you drive me over there so we can swap games? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And like, oftentimes, I wouldn't say often, half the time the answer was no, because no, we don't want to go drive. We're tired. Got to make dinner. Got to get ready for bed, blah, blah, blah. Life goes on. That's not a problem anymore, because if it's your good friend, join my family plan. I'll go on yours. We can have 8 people. This is cool. Like, I think this is really awesome. I think about my cousins who used to live here in Arizona, and they ended up moving to Colorado. Teresa and Christina and Jordan, big gamers, all girls, big gamers. And when we were growing up, all here in Arizona, we used to all play video games together. And then once they moved, they'd come out like once a summer. It's like, all you got to do is come out once, connect on my Wi-Fi. Now we can share games. Even though you're in another state now. When you guys come out here and stay with me, just hop on the Wi-Fi. We got to do this one time. Like, that's so cool. I think as a kid, this is awesome. Right? This is a great way to, I don't know, like, it's like free rentals too.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we used to have to like earn an allowance, right? And do a lot of chores to just be taken to Blockbuster. That was a treat.
Yeah, right.
So this wasn't the only thing they announced today. They also had this new app. This new app
yes.
they launched, Nintendo Today, that I've been messing with a little bit. Obviously, there's not a lot on it right now at the moment. But this is Nintendo's way of trying to get notifications on your phone and delivering news to you every day. One thing I did with my app, let me grab my phone here, is like on my screen when I open it, I put the Nintendo stuff right in the dead center. So like every day when I wake up, if there's like a new announcement from Nintendo or I took a nap and there's an announcement, it'll be just right there in the middle of my screen. I think that's kind of cool. The only complaint I have about this app is it's kind of like a calendar app that lets you know like when Nintendo events are happening, combined with like, they have links to like the Direct today that you could watch and stuff like that through the app. Like that's all cool. I don't find myself using it much for that stuff because I'll probably just do it on my computer. But I guess if I'm on the go, it's kind of a quick way to access some of this stuff. But the calendar to me is like the most interesting facet of it. Is you have this calendar and you could pick your themes. Like I got the Zelda theme, of course. The calendar was cool because like I can already see these future events like all marked on the calendar, and you can like tap it, be like, oh look, that's the Nintendo Switch 2 experience on the 25th in Berlin. I'm like, that's kind of neat. In case you forget that's happening, even though I'm not going to it, it's not relevant for me. And you can pick and choose. I just chose for it to throw everything on my phone, so I know every event going on, even if I'm not part of it. One thing I would have liked this to do is integrate one way, the other, or both ways with my calendar on my phone. Because it doesn't. Like they had an opportunity for this to kind of replace my calendar app by just drawing all the data from my calendar into it, so I can see the Nintendo events and my events.
Yep.
Instead of having to use 2 different apps now to see that, the calendar app and this one, or have this data be able to get synced into my calendar. Well, as I said, one way or both ways. I feel like it's a missed opportunity because, look, most days are going to be blank, right? There's not going to be anything in them. And other days, it'll be something like a Switch 2 experience in London. Cool. Well, there's only one thing relevant on their calendar right now that I can even do anything with. That's the direct next week.
Mm.
Nothing else. Like I go forward on the calendar. None of these other things are things I can participate or do anything in. So I feel like it might get more useful over time because it's a daily app. They literally said directly in this video, which is not over to me. I get it looping here. They said directly in this video, word for word, beginning April 2nd, Switch 2 news every day in the app.
Mm.
I don't know how they're going to have news every day. Don't ask me.
It's planned.
They're
drip feeding it.
Yeah, they're really going to drip feed something Switch 2 every day, probably till launch.
So
that's
it's top
awesome.
of mind for everybody.
Yeah, it's at the top of the mind. So that's awesome. And this will be a great way to keep track of that. I think that's how they're going to get people to use it is, hey, every day, go to the Nintendo Today, first thing in the morning. See what new Switch 2 stuff dropped. Like, that's what they're trying to get you with. But I'm like, yeah, but besides a promotion run like that, I don't really know. Like, I don't have a reason to open this thing every day. I mean, the Switch 2 stuff will give me that reason, but we know realistically that's not forever.
Well, they'll give you a reason.
You think they're always going to just have a marketing run?
Well,
they're going to always keep it?
The push notifications.
Oh, no, that's sure.
That's what they want. Like that is the, I swear to you, that is the key ingredient here is the push notifications. And I'm sure they have plenty of data on it from their games that have released on mobile. So they'll give you a reason, like they'll push it to you and you'll have to, like you'll see it in your notification center. I don't know what your habits are. Like, I don't know if you clear it or if you have like minimal notifications. I know
I have a lot of notifications.
Yeah. Prior to starting YouTube. So prior to 2 years ago, I had all notifications off all the time. Phone's on silent. Phone still is on silent for 20 years.
Absolutely.
But I have to turn on notifications now for social media because I'm part of that now.
Yeah.
So I will see it, right? And I do want to see this because it's Nintendo. I want to see it. Otherwise, why did I download the app personally, right? And I know you want to see it too.
Yeah.
But I think they'll drip feed. You look at Best Buy. If you download the app, right, and you're part of like the Best Buy $50 program, whatever it is that they have, that basically allows you to buy 2 games and get one free for Switch. They have like the My Best Buy drops, where you can only buy stuff in the app. So it's basically it's an exclusive reason to open the app and use it, where you can only buy sought after items like the PlayStation 5 DualSense 30th anniversary controller. You could only buy it in the app. Like if you had the account, you could get it there and not have to try and buy it on the website later when the website's completely overloaded. A lot of fast food places do this. They want you to download the app. I was just looking for a hotel with Expedia, or not Expedia, Priceline. It says you get a better deal in the app. What's wrong with the website? Right?
I just saw a meme that showed Mario and Toad from Super Mario Brothers, and it says, "Welcome to McDonald's. Are you using the mobile app today?"
Yeah, dude. They all want you on their apps because they can send you push notifications because these companies bought data from the cell phone providers and they're able to, I'm sure, see the analytics on how many people interact with push notifications. So that's my take. That is just my take on it as far as why don't.
Even for me, like I have a ton of notifications all the time. Like if I even draw down my notification thing right now, of course it won't let me do it. I'll draw it down. But you can just see, like I have all these notifications just crazy on my phone.
Yeah.
I don't even tap on them half the time. But I'll be like, oh, hey, Eric just hit me up on Messenger. I'll close quick and open up Messenger without even tapping on it. But that's why I like the notifications. Like, hey, this is my fantasy sports notifications. Oh, maybe it's not about my team. It's just a news update, but it reminds me to go check my team.
Yep.
That make sure I set my lineups. So like, I love notifications, even though I get so many of them and I have to clear them out many times a day. One, it's like a 2-tap thing to clear all of them, but I love notifications. And so Well, I will say for someone like me that stays on top of everything, I'm not so sure that this app is going to do much for me particularly, besides make me smile when it's reminding me of something I already know about, but it's just nice to see it on my phone. I think this is, it's not about me. This is about the more general audience that isn't always paying attention.
It is 100%. I think it's going to work.
We talked about it after the presentation earlier that this is absolutely an answer to retail slowly fading away, right? Like anybody that's here right now and anybody on this panel, we know what's coming out. We know the dates. We have notifications turned on for Twitter, right? But like there is you already said it, like there's a lot of people out there that like they walk into retail and they're like, what's the new game? Right?
Oh,
like they're not they're not concerned about the launch. They're not. And what Nintendo really needs to do is this needs to be a QR code that comes up at the beginning when you fire up your Switch that is like, are you sure you downloaded? You know, like like
Dude,
they need to get this on.
Buy space at the Walmart places to put up an ad. Hey, get the Nintendo Today app QR code.
Yeah, like it's got to be because as retail slowly fades and physical slowly fades, like they're just future proofing, like making sure that people, because what I find interesting is even tonight I stopped at the gas station, grabbed a Coke, right? The guy, I asked the guy was like, "What are you doing?" I said, "Oh, I'm going to do a podcast." And he's like, "Oh, I'm a gamer." I was like, "Oh, cool." He's like, I used to play Pokemon. Now I mostly play Xbox." I'm like, "Oh, the new Pokemon game is coming out." He's like, "They still make those?"
Right. No idea.
Yep. No clue.
So, I mean, that in of itself is like, and it's like, we just look at numbers. How many NSO subscribers are there versus how many Switches are out there? How many people, maybe don't even know that they could play games online? Like we assume a whole lot because we're so in the
hardcore.
Yeah, we're so in the mix of it, but like, get into any other industry and like that you're not really a part of and be like, "Oh, wait, there's whole communities around this," and like, and different Facebook groups and all that kind of, we're oblivious to it. But when it comes to this gaming stuff, we're on top of it, but that's not everybody.
Right. And I think that leads to why they need to get, into like Walmart and have the QR codes to download the thing. Because right now, I think that is their target audience. And right now they're hitting the ones that are hardcore and already know all this stuff because we're watching the direct, that type of stuff. They need to get it out into the wild and, allow people to say, see this thing and actually get it to their target audience, I think is what really needs to happen for sure.
Well, and like I said, fire up the Switch and Nintendo Today QR code. Like, are you sure you downloaded before? Like, it's not because, again, how many of us stop and look at the news section on the Switch? It's already 2-day old news by the time, by the time we see it there. None of us do, and I think they're looking at that and probably realizing that like, not many people do. But if they can,
we're not quick enough. We're not getting into them fast enough.
Yeah.
So I guess we can transition a little bit here into just the general thoughts on the entire direct. I'll just set the direct to play here. So I'll just throw out my first thoughts, and I gave this this morning is this is probably one of the weaker directs. Absolutely. It felt like an indie world with Metroid, Tomodachi Life, and Pokemon, right? Like everything else was basically indie besides like Dragon Quest and stuff. And even that is still kind of presented the same way the indie games are presented, right? So I felt like this direct signified the clear the clear end of an era. I know it's something we're going to get into a little bit later. Some people think it has to do with, Nintendo's gonna have all these cross-gen games. We'll get into that later. But I truly think that this is like kind of it. Like Nintendo was announcing games out into 2026. So it's interesting. two things are interesting. One, none of the games announced launch in May.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just,
Yeah.
it's gonna be May. We don't really know. It's interesting that, hey, you had this whole direct for Switch 1 and nothing's launching in May. There's stuff in April. There's stuff in July. Why are you not giving us any games in May? Well, yeah, no. We'll see what happens. But yeah, my general takeaway is I thought it was an okay direct. There's definitely a lot of those indie games. They picked good ones, ones I'm actually interested in playing. But it's not the most exciting of the directs. It's not one of those where we jump out of my seat and go, "Oh my god, this is awesome!" You know, like it'll probably happen. Let me tell you guys, it'll probably end up happening next week Wednesday.
This wasn't a direct that made you yell at Doug Bowser to shut up?
No, this is the one that makes me yell at them to shut up because I'm still in shock of what just happened. Yeah. This isn't the one that's going to happen, next week on Wednesday. I'm probably going to blow my voice out, and then I'll be on the podcast.
Yeah, great.
I don't know how much talking I'll be able to do.
It'll be a very short podcast because all of us won't have a voice.
Yeah. So it wasn't one of those kind of directs. And to be fair, those kind of directs only happen for me, very rarely anyways. Like the last time a direct popped for me like that was the Tears of the Kingdom reveal back in 2019. That reveal caught me so off guard. I was just hyped as hell. But when I look at this direct, I think it was okay. And I think it just, to me, signified, all right, this is it. We're kind of done with Switch 1. But these are just the announcements we needed to get out of the way. We needed to remind people Metroid Prime 4 is coming to Switch 1 before we show it on Switch 2. We need to remind people Pokemon Legends is coming this holiday. So, hey, no matter what happens with Switch 2, you guys still have this big Pokemon game to look forward to. We need to remind people that, hey, we're still supporting the system into 2026. Here's a brand new game, not port or remaster, that we're launching in 2026. And hey, we have a couple new things we're launching that will get completely buried next week. So we need to get the announcements out now when people are going to pay more attention to it and get people are more likely to download Nintendo Today app today than they probably would have been if they mentioned it in the Switch 2 Direct. Even if they put in the Switch 2 Direct, hey, we're going to have daily news on this thing. Everyone's going to be so busy talking about the games and the features and pre-orders. They're not going to, forget to go get the app. So it was a good day to announce that and mention Switch 2 directly for the app. Like they clearly were like, hey, look, we didn't have much in this direct for you to get excited about, but every day Switch 2 news is happening here. You need to get this app for that. You need to get prepared. And then obviously the game sharing, get that out of the way now so they don't have to talk about it next week. They don't even have to bring it up because it's already a known feature and it's already announced as coming to Switch 2. So that I think is the this is kind of the get what we need to get out of the way before we just completely shift over to Switch 2. I do not think this means there are no more games from outside of what was announced. I still think Nintendo will have some games not announced here coming to Switch 2. I'll give you just one example.
Certainly.
Look, is there any reason for us to doubt Nate the Hate at the moment? He said we're getting Kirby Planet Robobot HD this year on Switch, and it was not announced today. We're only 3 months into the year, guys. Like they gotta have some announcements for later in the year.
They're not abandoning 155 million.
Yeah. Yeah. So while I don't think Nintendo's going to have a ton more games coming, I do think there's probably a handful more ports and remasters over the next 2 years, all the way through 2026, that they just aren't announcing yet. They'll just drip feed those over time. That maybe they'll do Twitter announcements. Maybe they'll even appear in a direct. But I think this is
Nintendo Today announcements.
Nintendo Today announcements. Yeah. And what they did this to just get, hey, this is what we feel like we need to get out of the way. Because once we get to next week, we get to Wednesday, it's all Switch 2. We even told you your Nintendo Today app from April 2nd on, where we have Switch 2 news every day. Everything. Nintendo literally declared today, April 2nd, everything's about Switch 2. They literally just said, they had Miyamoto on screen to tell you, April 2nd, everything, Nintendo Today app, Switch 2 news every day. They didn't say Switch news every day. No. Switch 2 news beginning April 2nd every day. It's like, okay, they got the patches, on the baseball team for their away games. That's already started, although today was a home game, so they saw the Nintendo patch, but
still not for sale yet.
Yeah, still not for sale. Hopefully,
I keep looking.
I keep looking. So, and this might be one of those things you have to go to the in-person pro shop. Let me tell you, Nintendo, if you announce a Nintendo Live in Seattle later this year, I'm not only going, I'm going to swing by the pro shop of the Mariners and grab myself one of those jerseys.
I got lots of family there. If you guys need a hookup, just let me know.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Thank you.
They're in the pro shop, man. Like,
I would
let
like to
me
get a
know.
Ken Griffey away jersey.
oh, dude, if they have those with the patch, oh, baby, I'll take that.
Yeah, you can't get a white jersey. You can't. Because if you do, you just know it's going to get stained like
Oh,
after one wear.
I
Every
hate
time.
white. Anything.
Yeah. I
like
don't
white.
buy anything white. I don't care how cool the shirt is. Michaela was showing me something really cool. I'm like, babe, it's white. I'm not buying that.
Yeah, I wear white all the time, but I already know it's only good for a few wears. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I like the way it looks. It looks so clean. I'm like, okay, yeah. And then that's really well. Let's go out to heat. Oh, honey, hold on.
I gotta change.
I gotta like put a coat on
Yeah.
and like cover everything
Yeah.
up because this is not gonna go well.
Let me go find a poncho. We'll be.
Yeah, like you know. And so I've done pretty good at protecting some of my whites, but with now that my kids are older, when they were younger, it was impossible. Just don't wear anything white when you have young kids.
Mhm.
Anyways, so no, I guess I gotta give my thoughts on the direct. You guys have any additional thoughts?
Go ahead, Josh. Or
Go ahead.
Steph.
I'll go last.
Go ahead, Josh.
I'm right there. It really felt like a great showing for Square, Bandai, right? Like I think that everyone's golf was kind of that was
neat.
I don't know how this direct again, like it may not be it's not the Zeldas, it's not the Marios, it's not the Mario Karts, right? Like it's not the stuff that everybody's always hungry for. But there was a lot of hey, we're listening to the fans.
Rhythm Heaven's back.
Yeah, that was again not a game I've ever even played, but like my chat was going wild, like they were going crazy when they saw that. They were going crazy when they saw Tomodachi Life, and like that, like I love that because it just shows how vast and how broad the Nintendo community is, and like it goes beyond just like Mario and Link, and so
It was the direct for the niche. And that's awesome.
And I think, does Square show us a Chrono Trigger HD 2D remake like in a week? Like
We keep talking about, man.
No, we keep wanting it to be a thing. We're trying to will it into existence.
Sounds like we all are.
I think so. And so like I mean, we didn't really expect this to happen until like a day or two ago, right? And then now we're getting two. When have we ever had two directs in 2 weeks? Like
it's within 6 days of each other.
Yeah, like that. That's wild. And so
I'm dropping a short for 5 days till the Switch 2 Direct tomorrow morning. I'm like, oh my god, we just got done with the Direct.
Yeah. It's so regardless if like maybe I think there was a lot of expectations with Kirby Planet Robobot would have been really cool to see. Metroid Prime 2 and 3, like, or at least 2. Like I am thoroughly disappointed that we did not see a Prime 2 remake because I've beat 1, I loved it. I haven't beat 2 and 3, and I really want to play those without having to fire up my Wii U and use the Wii remote, right? Like that's, obviously I got to play 2 on GameCube, but I want to experience those games. And so like, I'm super stoked that we saw more for Metroid Prime 4, like we talked about at length, but I do think based on like, there was probably some expectations that were a bit too high with everything that's been talked about since there was going to be a February Direct, right? Like we've kind of had some expectations for what we thought was going to be there. Maybe my expectations weren't met, but I know there's a lot of people that were very, very excited. And so that also excites me because I'll jump into the one thing that the Switch has done is it has me playing far more. Like Pokemon was not something I typically would play. Now I'm playing I'm playing that more, right? Tomodachi Life. Yeah, I didn't play it on 3DS. My kids loved it. I'll play it this time around. Like I'll give it a go because it's one of those things. I know my community's going to be into it, and it's going to make great stream content because like it's just wild. It's just absolutely wild. And I love Animal Crossing. I love games where you can like jump in for 10 minutes, do your little daily things, and then walk away from it after you're done, and it's still going in the background. So the HD 2D remake of Dragon Quest, think that's fantastic. Love it. The Pac-Man game is so weird. I'm not a huge fan of the art style personally, but I think a Metroidvania with Pac-Man mixed in, like, get weird. Get Pac-Man doing things that are off the wall. I think that's just fun. So I'm excited to jump into that. The classic games they showed of Gradius and Salamander, like,
Yeah.
awesome. Like
Right?
those were games I played as a kid. Like that's
Same.
reaching all the way back to my childhood.
Also,
So
you know
like,
what?
like, yeah, and a new one. Like exactly. So there's so much good, and it's almost like it's almost like we had to do Christmas early with the in-laws or something, you know, like, and real Christmas is in a week kind of thing. And so like,
I would say with the way this direct actually was, I think it feels better now than it would have felt in February. If they would have did this exact direct in February, I think people would have been like, really?
mhm.
But now it's like, no, this was like the appetizer before the main course.
Yep, exactly
To get
that.
things out of the way that
This was the palate cleanser for Switch 1. Now we're going on to the main course.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I think that is why this actually made sense, because I know some people were worried, like, man, this is a big general direct. They have so many big announcements. That's going to make me think Switch 2 is not coming out till the holiday. And it's like, well, okay, well, the direct came, and let me tell you, there's really not much going on. So, like, yeah. So it's, you know, I think Nintendo also felt they had to do this specifically because of that Nintendo Today app and the and then obviously the game cartridge sharing digital stuff, because they really wanted to get those announcements out of the way before Switch 2, which makes a hell of a lot of sense. So cool. Because maybe they even knew the game cartridge explanation is convoluted, and when people watch the Switch 2 stuff, they want everyone to like just get it
Focus
and
on
understand it and be
versus-
simple. Like if they announced it in there, they don't want people being confused when they're watching the Switch 2 presentation.
Thinking about that versus actually thinking about what they're seeing on the screen.
Yeah, they don't want you
Yeah.
to think. They want you to just see amazingness, and everything you see is easily understood.
That would have been everyone's takeaway. That's what I kept saying. It would have been everybody's takeaway. Would have been like, wait a minute, what is this? And that would have been the talking point. You don't want that. That would be fatal.
Yeah.
Well, and okay, again, our perception is that everybody knows how to set up a primary and a secondary Switch.
No, they don't.
That's not the
No, they
case. The amount of views I have on how to play Animal Crossing digitally between two Switches
You don't
is
even put it this way.
insane.
I made 2 videos on my channel that were basically the same video in back-to-back years, how to get free games on Switch. And all it is explaining how to find free-to-play games on Switch. Pretty obvious to any of us that are into this. Like, it's really easy to go to the eShop and find the free-to-play section. Not to normal consumers. And the eShop sucks and is slow. And like, there's actually a way to get to some of the free games without initially going through the eShop. And it's like, yeah, I know these tricks, but other people don't. Like, you'd be surprised, the simplest things, even like how to transfer saves via cloud to another Switch. People just don't even know how to do it. So,
Well, to give you guys a crazy example, I literally had Xbox tell me to apply for a job because they found a video I made about closing your NAT type or opening like they were like, hey, you figured this out. Like, so, you know, like we really can't assume anything at this point. And I think that's what Nintendo is saying when they're like, hey, here's this Nintendo Today app. We're not assuming that everybody is going to be paying attention to our stuff coming out, because in the modern world, attention is literally the, like, that's your dollars and cents right there. Like,
They want to make it as easy as possible for you to find it. Not everybody's, Nate, who goes and scours, how many numbers of websites to try to find news. They don't have the time. They want to be able to go to one spot, find what they need to know, and move on with their day.
Subscribe to Nintendo Prime.
That too.
That's the spot. Eric, what are your thoughts on the Direct?
I thought it was a decent Direct. Not a lot of games for me. But what I did like, though, and no hate on this game, but there was such a nice variety of games. Like, I know in past Directs, there's been like 8 or 9 farming sims. This is, like I said, no hate on those games. But this had just a nice variety of different types of games that I really like to see. And I may not have an interest in playing all of them, but there are some that look cool. I mean, they all look really nice. But it's great to see just the nice variety. This is kind of what I was hoping for, in normal Directs, is seeing a nice, good difference in, different types of games, different this. And again, no hate on the farming sims, but I remember there was a Direct like 2 or 3 ago that was like 8 or 10 farming sims. It's like, what is this? A farming sim
remember.
Direct or what? But
indie worlds are infamous.
Yes.
For being farming sim Directs, basically. Kind of, it is a really popular genre. Stash, what are your thoughts on this Direct?
Okay, so again, really happy that they got the app and the virtual game card out of the way. We've said that a bunch of times, though, but happy it's done. Pokemon, glad we got an update. Metroid, again. Those are 2 bangers that we got to see today, which I feel like people aren't giving enough credit towards. So I think that's really cool that we got to see those. One game you guys haven't mentioned. I'm surprised. Because I'm hyped for it.
I bet you I know what the game it is.
You know
what's coming next.
Just say it. Say it, guys. If you know
Marvel.
it, say it. Yeah, you know it. You know it. Dude, that game looks awesome. Marvel Cosmic Invasion.
You remember me saying, like, has there ever been a Marvel beat 'em up? I couldn't find one.
Well, I mean, there's been beat 'em ups, right?
Yeah.
Like there's the X-Men arcade.
Yeah. But I mean, full Marvel cast one.
Yeah, this is cool because one thing that it does different that I immediately noticed is it has hit points.
Yes.
Which I don't know any beat 'em ups, and I will be honest, like I think I've played all the beat 'em ups. I am a huge fan. Final Fight, Double Dragon, Turtles, like I love beat 'em ups. I've never seen hit points being employed in a beat 'em up. So there's something deeper there, which I appreciate. They do have online co-op. That's a big deal, actually. Like, for example, I reviewed Contra Operation Galuga last year. Big Contra fan. A lot of people were really disappointed that this game doesn't have online co-op. It's like, yeah, actually it sucks. That does suck. Because you look at games like Turtles, Shredder's Revenge. You guys have played that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Badass
So
game.
good.
So much fun online. That really increases the replay value to just be able to hop online and jump into a lobby and you're in a game. I even booted it up maybe 2 months ago. Was able to jump right into an online game. People are still playing all the time. So I thought that was really nice. And I feel like that's a game that will perform well on Switch. Like we won't have any performance issues on Switch. Okay. So I thought that was cool. Eric, as you mentioned, there's a large variety here, and I think it checks a lot of boxes for a lot of fans, which is good. And a lot of these games I think will keep people busy. Story of Seasons. Like these are games, again, that you can sink so many hours into. Tomodachi Life. Like these are games that, hey, if you're not ready to like go over to Switch 2 yet, these games will keep you busy for a long time. I think that was a strategic move. I really do. Saga Frontier 2 Remastered. I have Saga Frontier 1 physically on my shelf. Saga Frontier is badass. So I was pretty excited to see that I think it looks nice too. Again, Rhythm Heaven, happy for the fans, all that. Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD remake. It's been on my list. It was in my most anticipated games video. It's a game I'm looking forward to. So nice to get a little update on that. Everybody's Golf. Great to see it's for everybody now. So it's finally on Nintendo. The Witchbrook game. I think that could do well. Now, I'm not going to play it. I think Michaela would love it, though. I think there's definitely people that would enjoy this game. I think the Animal Crossing crowd will love it. The cozy gamer genre crowd will love Witchbrook. And I actually really like that art style. Gradius Origins, it was announced physically today. I will probably pick it up physically. Shadow Labyrinth, I already had pre-ordered. I pre-ordered it right after the Game Awards because pre-orders went live. I think you guys know I love Metroidvania games. So I was like, dude, this is badass. Pac-Man and a Metroidvania? This game looks crazy. And I don't know if you guys know, but they had an episode of that show that's on Amazon that's about video games. There's like 8 episodes. There's a whole episode for Shadow Labyrinth that set the stage for the game. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Does anyone in chat know that video game show I'm talking about? Each episode is a different like video game world. But there's a whole episode about Puck. It's wild. Michaela and I watched it. She's like, what is this? Like, it was dark. It was weird. You guys would like it. And then Eternal Life of Goldman. Again, I've had this pre-ordered since it was announced last year, I think at the Summer Game Fest. As soon as it went up, this game looks like DuckTales.
Yes.
You know how much I love DuckTales. Like, I
Same.
love it. Yes. Dude, he's on a pogo stick. It's
Yep.
it's a Metroidvania on top of it. It's not just like an action platformer. It's a Metroidvania. So like it's going to be a longer game. There's going to be obviously new abilities to find and probably upgrades to your cane and everything. I'm like, dude, this looks cool. I know we're not going to get a new DuckTales. So this is as good as it's going to get. And the art style is really cool. So I actually thought there was a lot of good stuff here. And there is legitimately stuff I am going to buy. And the one game that surprised me was High on Life getting a port to Switch. My
Yes.
interesting. I wonder how it's going to run. I hope it runs okay.
I imagine quite poorly.
It's probably going to run really hot, but still, that was cool. I'm like, that's cool. That'd be even cooler if it ran better on Switch too. And it comes out on May 6th.
There you go.
So there you go.
All right. We can get to the wish list stuff. I want to point out a couple things as we get into it because again, Nintendo had news today for Switch 2 that they didn't make a big deal out of, but one of the news, one of them, I'll just do a quick share on this one. This one's super simple. Right here. So basically, they launched that app today, right? We all know they launched the app today. And on the App Store, not on the app itself, on the App Store, when you look at the screenshots of the app, they show the Switch 2, you know, like a new render of it or whatever, or at least what looks like the old render. Except, as you can see in the zoomed in one on the right, a little bit blurry for some of you guys, the C is on the button now when it wasn't in January. Now, again, this isn't like breaking news. We've known about the C button forever. It's leaked forever ago, next handheld and all that stuff. However, it's just one of those things that this is the first time Nintendo has officially shown that, yes, there is indeed a C on that square button. For some reason, they wanted to hide that fact back in January. I don't know whose decision that was because now it's out there before Nintendo even explains what it is. So, cool. Again, not a whole lot to say about that one. But then the other one, as we head into the wish list, because the wish list is going to be our wishes for Switch 2. This other one, I got to do this and replace. There we go. And let's go with this one. So On this page, I want you guys to pay attention to this paragraph here. And this is what got the internet really talking today. So this is on the page with the virtual game sharing at the bottom in the fine print. This is really zoomed in, but I'm like 300% zoomed in. Like it's fine print. And it says compatible systems must be linked to a Nintendo account to use virtual game cards. Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive games and Nintendo Switch 2 edition games. Mm-hmm. The edition games is the new part. This indicates to be clear, we don't know exactly what it indicates. To me, this indicates Nintendo is going to be selling new versions of Switch 1 games on Switch 2. Some people think it indicates that Nintendo will have cross-gen games for a long time. Some people think that I don't think it's a patch. Because if it was just a patch, they wouldn't call it Switch 2 Edition. You would just pay for a patch, right? Pay for a DLC patch or whatever.
Kind of.
It's been kind of goofy with their naming stuff. So
you see what PlayStation does, right?
Yeah, I know.
When you put in a PS4 game and you want to upgrade it for $10,
yeah,
or sometimes it's free, but you upgrade it to the PS5 version. It no longer says PS4 game; it says PS5 game, even though it is a PS4 game.
Yeah. So obviously, we don't know exactly. I think this will be one of those things that's explained next week, right? I think it's pretty obvious. This is one of those. Hey, next week we got you. We'll explain what this all means. But I just find it interesting just to bring up because Nintendo hasn't talked about anything about how they're going to handle backwards compatibility. Just that it exists, right? It's happening. They haven't talked about whether there will be Switch 2 versions of Switch 1 games. Regardless of what it means, Switch 2 Edition means, yes, there will be Switch 1 games that have a Switch 2 version. How that version is delivered, whether that means just Breath of the Wild 4K and they're going to sell it to you as a new Switch game, Switch 2 game, you know, like that we see that all the time. That's what remakes and remasters are all about. And yes, folks, it happens all the time. Remasters of a generation old game repackaged to you for full price happens literally all the time. And that could be what these are, or it could be paid upgrades. We just don't know. It could mean cross-gen. I will say this. If it is cross-gen, then Nintendo's going against their own words, where they said games sell systems. People brought this up because until Nintendo finally just confirms it, there's a large subset of fans that are very loud that new Mario Kart game is going to be on Switch 1.
Mm-hmm.
And until Nintendo shuts them up, they're going to keep getting louder and louder that it's going to Switch 1. And again, we talked about this on the podcast yesterday, Stash, how that doesn't even make sense. They're planning to sell this game for the next decade. They're not worrying about launch sales.
Yeah, I also think people are underestimating the graphical improvements in the new Mario Kart based on a poorly displayed trailer, I guess you could say. Like the trailer wasn't there to show off Mario Kart. It was there to put a game on the Switch for the reveal, because you have to put something on there.
Yeah.
And it wasn't to show it off.
And they wanted to show the launch game, probable launch game. And look, there's been a new console Mario Kart since 2014. So they figured people would just be hyped to know there's a new Mario Kart.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't thinking too hard about it being the best showcase for the system. Because if they were, we would have got direct feed footage. They would have showed probably something besides the desert map, which is always like, you know, not one of the most visually impressive maps.
No, not at all.
Ever. So, but again, this is one of those things where until it happens, people are going to keep believing that Mario Kart is cross-gen. They're going to keep believing that, that new 3D Mario game, they're obviously going to also put that one on Switch. Look at the install base. I'm like, okay, I get that. But look at the install base on DS. Were they putting 3DS exclusive games over on DS because the install base was bigger? No. They were using Mario Kart 7 as an example to sell the 3DS, not to get more sales on DS. You know? So I think that if they did like a significant amount of cross-gen like PlayStation did, it would be really going against Nintendo's strategy that games sell systems. That would show a lack of confidence in the ability for their games to sell over time on Switch 2. And I don't think Nintendo right now lacks confidence. They should be more confident than ever.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. And again, I just think they're underestimating how much of a performance hit it would take to have 24 racers and to have larger tracks now. You need more processing power to be able to do that.
Yeah.
That ain't going to work on Switch 1, man.
Yeah. So let's get to our wish list thoughts because our special guest has to go here in a bit. So N64, Josh, what do you have? What's like your dream wish list items for Nintendo Switch 2?
I mean, I'm the easy one here because Mario Kart is like, it's my main game. It's my most played game on Switch 1. Like I've got the tattoo, you know, like, I mean, Mario Kart is it. But I mean, are we going like completely out there? Like,
sure.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah, we
okay.
are.
So I'll go completely out there, like versus what I know realistically wouldn't happen. But like, basically, if we got to see within the first year, the games that are in their top 10 bestsellers get sequels at this upcoming direct, I would be ecstatic, right? And if third-party support's going to be as strong as we think it's going to be, seeing things like Master Chief and Smash and other maybe characters like Joanna Dark in Smash, right? Like just stuff that's like that would be, it would be such a great thing going from Melee where the proximity mine was in the one of the trophies or whatever to then have her finally be a character in the game. I think would be incredible. Really, you know, anything Mario Kart is going to be like, the more we know about that game, the more excited I'm going to be. 3D Mario, of course. If they could even hint at the next big mainline Zelda game, like if it was even just a splash screen or something, would be crazy. I'm not expecting much, obviously, but I'm just going, like, if we're going full on.
Yeah.
Like I want Animal Crossing. I want to see like I said, I want to see the top 10 best selling games, maybe even the top 15 get some kind of showing so that every community knows we got something coming. We got something coming.
Okay.
It may be 2 years down the road. We might see, you know, dates up to 2027 and that's fine. But like, the biggest thing, and I think the realistic thing is I want to experience 2017 and 2018 again.
Love it.
Yeah.
I want
Splatoon.
2017, 2018, and 2019 because 2019 was a banger year too.
Yep. Agreed.
Oh,
Agreed. Yeah. So good. So,
awesome.
yo, somebody in chat said Joanna Dark, punch her in the manja.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
the chat's a little wild sometimes. Okay.
I mean, the username of that person is great too. $2 Temu undies.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
They've been around for a while. They think they're
That's wild.
Well, thank you, Josh, for sticking out. I appreciate it, man.
Guys.
We'll have to get you scheduled on a future show because I don't think I have you on the schedule right now for the next month or so, but we'll get something worked out.
Yeah, for sure. I think based on our chats, I'm scheduled pretty quick. I think, yeah, we'll figure something out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
So, all right. I appreciate you guys so much. We'll catch you later.
Have a good night, brother.
Yeah.
So, Eric, let's have you go next. What's your wish list? Just your pipe dreams.
My pipe dream. Man, the biggest thing I want again is Street Pass. I know I covered it last night.
Yes,
That is the biggest thing I want back because it was so fun, so cool to just interact with people just by walking past them. You know,
I'm putting these all on a bingo card, by the way.
no,
nice.
there you go.
Okay.
You never know.
Yeah, right. I do want to see, you know, whether it's Rare Replay come. Wait, is Rare Replay actually on Switch?
No, it's not.
No,
No.
that would be nice to see. You know, come
That's
over.
a good one.
That's
or
very good.
having the not necessarily even rare replay, just even the rare games themselves, whether it's like
we have some of them on it.
I know I realize that, like Banjo Kazooie's there. That would be a freaking great. I want a new Banjo Kazooie game. I want a new one, not Nuts and Bolts. That is not a Banjo Kazooie game.
Well, also that wouldn't be new.
Go away.
All right, I put new Banjo on there.
New
I
Banjo.
freaking want that so bad.
There you go. Nothing wrong with wanting that.
I want Conker's Bedford. That rare collection, is freaking great.
Yeah, the red replay is awesome.
I also want Snowboard Kids. God damn it. Give me those. Give me those two goddamn games.
Keep
on
speaking into
NSO.
existence.
I want those. And
You're
then
not the only one who wants it.
Yeah.
might as well throw out NBA Jam
And NFL Blitz.
gotta throw them out there.
Yeah, if those aren't on the bingo card, then we're not doing, we're doing something wrong around
Right?
here.
All right, I'm definitely putting them on there proudly.
No,
Hey, these are wish list items, man. We want it back.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's not going to
Watch next week. They both get revealed with brand new entries.
Right.
Into the show. Be like,
right.
what
Oh
is
my
that?
God.
Yeah, right. Oh God. I don't. I just want to Switch too. My Switch is, I have day one, so it's showing its age.
It's decrepit.
It's not.
It's
No, I
limping
mean, it
down the
still
way.
works. It's still fine. It's just.
You mean it's not like my day one that Yulia is using, where the SD card reader stopped working.
Yeah.
The screen has a bunch of lines on it.
Yeah. No, it still works, but you could tell she's starting to kind of get a little bit. She's showing her age a little bit. So I just, I'm not. Even if they just gave me an updated current Switch, I'm good.
That's what we're getting. It.
No, honestly, yeah. I mean, I'm fine with even just like take what I have, make it a little better.
That's what they're doing.
I'm good. I realize that. That's all I want.
Okay. Well, look, I'll go with some wish list stuff quick. Look, these guys gotta start dreaming bigger.
Yeah.
Okay, like we're not dreaming big enough.
I got big dreams, so I want to hear yours.
So obviously, like Josh said, the 3D Zelda. Obviously, I'd like to see 3D Zelda. That was even already on my bingo board for the thing. So that's not dreaming big enough because that's going to happen. We're going to
expect it.
Yeah, we're good. Even if it's not next week, it doesn't matter. We're going to get it. There's no way in hell we're not getting a 3D Zelda. So I got a dream. I gotta start doing the pipe dreams. All right.
Exactly.
So it's a new generation. We don't know anything about it yet. Everything's on the table.
Exactly. Everything's on the table always.
Everything's on the table. And my dream is they're doing, this would be really idiotic, but they're tricking us. Mario Kart's the holiday title because they're swapping in another racing game. One that can show off something Eric mentioned earlier in the stream about Legends EA. Look at that water.
I know what you're saying.
A brand new Wave Race game.
There you
Brand new, not a remake or remaster. Bring back Wave Race and all of its watery goodness and just be like, look at that water. And we can legitimately say that as a massive positive for how impressive the water physics are, the way the water looks.
Put a water tank on the back and it just you as you get hit.
This is pipe dream. I'm not saying this is a good idea. They should absolutely launch Mario Kart.
Fantastic idea.
They should absolutely launch with Mario Kart. But
I have a big list, but that was one of my games on there, so
yeah,
you gotta put it on there.
We gotta get Wave Race back. This is also something I've been asking for a long time and has never happened, and I'm gonna keep willing it into existence. I want them to have a brand new IP that's another action adventure game that's not Zelda. I love Zelda, but why is that the only one Nintendo makes? Why can't we have Monolith Soft cook and make another one with all new everything that's not bound to the history of Zelda?
I was gonna say it'd be nice to have a brand new IP that actually has like a major like a new major Nintendo character, not something that's been tied to the past. From the NES, from the the early days of Nintendo.
Well, they have Splatoon. That was their most recent, like, really big one.
Right, but I mean, the Inklings are, I don't know if they're necessarily like major characters, are they? I don't know.
We're talking about a franchise that sells like 15 million a pop. What? We consider Samus a major character for Nintendo, and Samus can't do that.
But Samus has been included in a lot of like Nintendo
Are you a squid or a kid?
advertising, right?
Oh my god, guys! You hear what Eric's doing right now? He's dissing
No,
Splatoon
I'm
is
not.
a non-major entity for Nintendo. No one knows what an
No, I'm
Inkling
not.
is.
I did not say that. You're putting words in my mouth.
Hold on, is it on the Nintendo Today app? Is there? I don't even know if it's a theme on the Nintendo Today app. Let me look it up. Does
I'm gonna
Nintendo
I'm
consider
gonna
it
laugh
major
if
enough
it's
to have
not.
a theme?
I'm gonna
Well, they have a
laugh
Pikmin
if
theme.
it's not.
It's funny because they have a Pikmin theme. If they don't have, of course, it's Miyamoto. Miyamoto's gonna get what he wants. Oh my god, what are the themes? How do I switch the themes? That I haven't
Yeah.
figured out yet.
Go into your profile and
I'm on my profile. Information, nothing. Home. Dude, how do I has
I don't
anyone Splatoon is
I
there?
haven't looked at it.
Plucky69 saying
Okay.
Splatoon is there, but I don't know.
I don't.
Oh, yep. There it is. So I would argue that whatever is here on this app is what Nintendo considers to be their major characters. You have Mario, you have Zelda, you have Animal Crossing, Tom Nook, of course, Splatoon with an Inkling. You have Pikmin, Kirby, Fire Emblem, Metroid, Xenoblade, by the way. Love to see Nintendo considering that one of their major IPs. WarioWare, because it's Wario, come on. He's so recognizable. Donkey Kong, obviously. And then you just have like just the classics theme. So that to me, like this list here is I think what Nintendo considers to be their absolute major characters. You'll notice no Pokemon. There's other companies involved with Pokemon. There might be a Pokemon theme eventually, but
Right.
anyways, so there you go. Nintendo thinks it's major. Doesn't mean that you do.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's not the first thing I think of when I think Nintendo.
Well, to be fair, you said you've tried to get into Splatoon and you don't like it.
I don't hate it.
But you don't like it. You don't love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, so we've established Eric hates Splatoon. Moving on. I'm kidding. I'm just yanking your chair.
No, I know.
Sorry. It was funny for you to just bring like, hey, I want there to be like a new major game that's not based on old IP, and then I bring up one that's new, and you're like, well, no, that doesn't count. What do you mean it doesn't count? It's one of the most popular games on Switch. Anyways, it's in the top 10 sellers.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving on. No, I think your grander point though is right though. Like before Splatoon, what was the last one they had? Animal Crossing, maybe? That's all the way back on what, GameCube?
64, really.
Yes, yeah, technically originally on 64. Because like even other ones, like they had Nintendogs come along, but that didn't stick as anything major. Advance Wars came along, didn't stick as anything major. Like they've consistently, we had ARMS, but that didn't stick as anything major. Like they keep bringing out new games, but that really was it really just Animal Crossing? Then
We got a new Battalion Wars. On
sure
Switch.
we did, but like it's not considered major by Nintendo. Like they don't have a Battalion Wars theme on here.
No.
I think it's interesting because it's not for lack of trying. Nintendo's definitely puts out new IPs every single generation, but nothing. You know, I seriously, if Splatoon didn't pop off, what would? I mean, that's a fair point. Like a dream of having some new IP just pop the fuck off. Yeah. And that's what I said. I want that new IP to be a new action adventure game that isn't Zelda. And I love Zelda. But can you imagine if there was two IPs, the level of Zelda in that genre?
Yeah. I get that.
Other wish list items. This shouldn't be a wish list item. I'm going to caveat this right now. This shouldn't be, but because it's Nintendo, it is. Redo the entire fucking eShop.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Take the current one,
Yeah.
throw it in the fucking trash.
Yeah.
This should not need to be a wish list item, but it has to be because I don't think they're going to throw it in the trash. I think there'll be some improvements, but it's just going to take the current eShop and try to put a new coat of paint on it, but it's still kind of clunky. It still doesn't let me sort things correctly. It still will have the games I purchased listed in their sales area when I already bought these games. Don't even put them on there and make me feel bad that now it's on sale for $2 when I bought it last week for $15. Like, don't even show the game to me because I already own it. Like, filter out the games I own, Bearman. Like, eShop is so bad. But I have to make it a wish list item because I literally don't think Nintendo's really going to do much about it. You figure they could. They're pushing more digital. We just got a digital announcement today, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, they need to make walking through their store, so to speak, an enjoyable experience. And it's not.
make me want to browse the eShop.
Yeah, make me want to hang out here. Give me some nice music. When you go to the store, do they have music playing?
Yeah.
And if it's good music, that's a nice bonus, right?
Yeah, and sometimes I'll stay around to the end of the bop because I want to.
Exactly.
It happens. Oh, you spend a little more extra. Look, I was done shopping in electronics 2 minutes ago, but like, dude, they got Backstreet Boys playing. I got to finish the song. I got to get that nostalgia hit around and see. Oh man, is there a VHS player I can glance at quick?
Right.
Remember watching Backstreet Boys in concert on one of those things.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, so getting back to other wish list items, I'm gonna throw, because again we don't know, and this is wish list. I want the Pro controller to basically be the PS5 controller.
Yeah,
I want all the haptics. I want all the trigger stuff. Heck,
that was on my list.
Put it in the thumbsticks. There's even patents out there from Nintendo where it's a ferrofluid thing with thumbsticks that could even put force feedback in the thumbsticks. I want it all, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a cool patent.
Wish list. It's not probably going to happen, although the fact Nintendo messed around with something gives me hope. We'll see.
Speaking kind of that, I saw something online, a video that there's a keyboard out there now that can actually like sense how it uses magnets. It can sense how far you've pushed the key down. Yeah. And the harder you press it, like the faster you go forward or you set the
pressure sensitive.
Hell, freaking put that in the A, B, X, Y buttons. Give me it.
Yeah. That's out there. What other wish list item? I know one that Stash is going to bring up, so I'm going to leave that to him because I was just about to say it. So I'm going to go back to my tried and true. I want a new Star Tropics.
Ooh. Oh, yeah. There you go.
I want it, and I want it bad. And I've been wanting it. I replayed the first one. The second one sucks. I replayed the first one last month. It's just as good as I remember. We need another one. Like yesterday. Please. And then I'll throw one final wish list item in there. I want to see Nintendo and From Software collaborate on a new IP. I don't care what the fuck it is. I just want to see it happen. Nintendo, reach out, hire their asses, new IP, just for Nintendo.
Someone mentioned last night, and if you're in the chat right now, sorry, I can't remember. But I saw it. I was like, oh, that's such a good idea. They said Nintendo and FromSoft, new Eternal Darkness. I'm like, that could cook.
Cool too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stop there because I can go on and on forever with wish list items because I want to make sure I don't take everything off Stash's list. He's got quite the list, I'm sure.
I do.
So
I got one more, but I'm gonna go. I'll save it for after Stash just in case you throw that out there.
All right, let's see what you got, Stash.
Is it trophies and achievements?
No.
Okay. All right, so I'll start there. I would really like to get trophies and achievements. They're really fun, and I want to see Nintendo's take on them because I think they could do something cool, and maybe it could be something we've talked about before. Like if you get the so-called platinum trophy, you get a theme for your Switch. Something. But I think they could do something really cool to display the achievements. I think it would be fun. I think it would be very fun for the NSO games as well. These are all things that we've talked about before. And I think it's a good opportunity to get more people to buy the Switch game. Because I think people do sometimes buy the PlayStation game instead. Because they're part of that, trophy or achievements. So Nintendo should have something there. They need to get on board with that. Because the relationship has improved just dramatically during the Switch era, and I expect it to only improve more. That's Super Mario RPG 2. I do think it can happen.
That would be nice.
I really believe it could happen. Truly. And I love Super Mario RPG.
Sorry,
I won't even go into it.
I gotta jump in here real quick.
Yeah.
Rapid made a really good point. They said that they love how achievements ruin the moment in games sometimes. It would be really nice if they did do like, because you know, like you get into this big giant cutscene, all of a sudden you're ding, and it's like,
Yeah.
really, you're gonna do this now, really?
Yeah.
Just do it at a nice time, not in the middle of a big giant cutscene or right, as they're entering one.
I agree.
Here's the thing. I don't like playing with achievements on.
Yeah.
Just turn them off.
Yeah,
And then turn them once until I beat the game, and then turn it back on, and I'll go back and do challenges.
Well, you can keep them on and just turn the notification off,
No,
so you
but-
still get all your stuff, and
Yeah.
it
I know, but then I
doesn't appear on screen.
kind of want to know.
I want to know I hit it, but
I want to know, but I
doesn't
don't want. I
either.
want to know when I want to know. I
Right.
don't want to know then, but then I get it because I hit a major moment in the game, so you gave me a notification for. But then I don't. Can you wait till I'm done with the cutscene?
right.
And I agree.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Timing is everything there. I totally agree.
The emotional moment on
Right.
screen first before I get reminded that someone's texting me or
Yeah.
something.
I get that.
God damn it, Navi! I get. Yeah. Hey, listen. I know. Shut up.
That's what it is. That's what those notifications are. They're Navi. The worst times you're telling me I achieved something. Damn it.
Go ahead, Stash. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. I'm actually typing it in. Obviously, one of the games I was gonna pick, I'm sure that's one you left for me, Nate, is Earthbound.
Yeah, that was what I was gonna go with. Yeah.
Of course, you have to put Earthbound on every Nintendo wish list and put it out there. We all have to come together to wish for this one.
The power of group manifestation. We gotta make this happen.
Yes. Now there's some games on here that I'm wishing for, but I legit think will happen. So I'm not going to put them on the list because actually, some of these are on my bingo card and some of them on yours. So
yeah,
I got to dream big here.
That's why I left F-Zero off because I
Mhm.
kind of feel like F-Zero is coming back. They did 99, so
Mhm.
and they updated 99 and they did more stuff and they did crossover themes. I'm like, okay, yeah. That's why I didn't bring up F-Zero because I kind of feel like that's probably coming back.
Yeah. I'm going to go with one from a longtime partner. Long time. Since I think since 86. And we're long overdue. So long. And this genre has come a long way too. That's the Metroidvania genre.
Hmm.
We need Castlevania Symphony of the Night 2. Because this is a dream. This is a dream, right?
Mhm.
I would love that, but I want a 2D Castlevania.
Yeah.
I mean, we got Bloodstained.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Give us something like that. And let's go with I gotta throw in Pilot Wings.
Mm.
A good Pilot Wings.
Yeah.
A legit Pilot Wings, not
No, give us the knockoff Pilot Wings like we got last time.
yeah, not Pilot Wings Resort. Okay, I want a real Pilot Wings. Not with me characters. Here's one I really want. We've talked about this a lot. The NSO game emulation. Step up your game, please. Improve it. I should be able to play all of the Nintendo classics best on Nintendo, not on my PC. I don't want to play it anywhere else but Nintendo.
Mhm.
But if there's the option out there to play Mario 64 upscaled on my screen here to 1440p at 60 frames per second, that's really cool. I would like to try that out, right? Nintendo, we got to do that. You guys can do it.
Option for everything in widescreen mode would be nice.
Yeah, if hobbyist modders, hobbyist game developers that don't do this full time, it's a hobby on the weekend. If they can do it, surely you can do it. But they got to make all the classics the best place to play on Nintendo. That's how NSO blows up, in my opinion. Give us the full screen and do the little things like that. Like if I can play Mario Sunshine at 60 FPS, why couldn't we have that on 3D All Stars? Right? There's
Mhm.
no reason. Here's one. I'm going to go with, I'm not even going to go with this one because I think it's going to happen. So I'll go with something else. I would like to see Golden Sun return.
Mm.
I would be interested to see what the numbers are like since it hit the NSO. Like what kind of data Nintendo has on how many people have played it, how many people have completed it. You think they have all that data?
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, they probably do. They probably have all of it.
I want to see the Sega Dreamcast on the NSO.
Mm.
I almost put it on my bingo card, but I think we gotta let's start with GameCube. Maybe we'll get two, I don't know, but I really want to see Dreamcast on the NSO.
/ Game Gear.
Yeah, absolutely. I do want a new Punch Out.
Ooh,
And I know it's rumored that that's not happening, but this is a dream.
Mhm.
If we get one thing on this bingo card, I'll be happy. I mean, Josh's were pretty. Some of Josh's picks, I know, it's going to be a 3D Mario there.
Oh, absolutely.
They're going to tease Zelda there. Joanna Dark and Smash. In fact, I expect us to get the new Perfect Dark. Why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we? That'd be crazy to not bring it to Switch 2. I got one that I've been looking forward to. Can't wait to hear about it. Final Fantasy IX remake.
Mm-hmm.
Long rumored to be in development. I think we're going to hear about it soon. I just don't know how soon. Do we need to wrap up the Final Fantasy VII remake trilogy to hear about it first? I don't know. But that has been rumored for a long time. And last but not least, I don't think any of us put this on the bingo card. But we definitely talked about it. That's Chrono Trigger HD 2D.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Make it happen. That is quite the wish list.
Yeah, I got two more to add.
Good.
So, Xbox Game Pass, whether it is Nintendo themed or Nintendo takes their own stab at it, or they actually go with a full on Xbox Game Pass, that'd be cool.
I'm gonna say one thing about that. As much as I like Game Pass, I really don't want Nintendo to make a Nintendo Game Pass because you want to kill physical. It will kill physical.
No,
it'll just straight up kill it. Look what it did to Xbox. Nobody buys physical.
Yeah, nobody.
You're not.
But
So
here's
fun.
the thing. Like
Yeah.
for me, that does buy quite a few digital. It is a great deal for me.
Right.
But
It's a catch-22.
yeah. It's kind of like it's a really good deal for the
That's why I
consumer.
said,
but then it's also
if they get straight up Xbox
like Game Pass.
itself,
Game Pass
then-
with all the studios they own right now, it's like the best deal in gaming.
Right.
But also like
right.
It's killing game ownership,
Mhm.
and I know that, and it doesn't bother me yet, but it will bother me someday.
Mhm. Oop, what?
Art Vandalay in chat said he really wants a Souls-like farming simulator.
Interesting. That's kind of very tangential to what I was going to say. I want another really good crossover game. So kind of like Mario and Rabbids, give me another one of those types of games where you have a really interesting crossover.
Okay. That'd be cool. I feel like we're due for one. Do you guys remember hearing that rumor that Sega was like working on something that was like including all of their IP. It was in the same world. It was like the ultimate like Sega crossover. And Sega, they got a lot of characters now.
Mhm.
It's Sega Atlas. Like it would be really interesting.
Mhm.
And I remember hearing about that, and it just kind of got me thinking about other things, right? Because then it got into discussions about where does Mario go from here? You know,
Mhm.
is he going to go to like other Nintendo universes now and interact with like other Nintendo worlds?
I mean, they opened up the possibility with the movie of him going into Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah, which honestly I think would be so badass. I was like, that
Mhm.
that is a great idea. Even you look at like the Sonic Racing,
Mhm.
Cross Worlds. Like, you race one lap, you go to the second lap, you're in a whole new world. It's like the technology's there to be able to do this quickly now. It's not like you have to load in the world. It's
Mhm.
there.
Mhm.
Like that was one of the big things with the SSD on PS5 with Ratchet and Clank. You can literally go into like different worlds immediately. So I wonder if we could get something like that. But that'd be cool, man. We're totally due for a crossover. It's
Mhm.
been a while, and I think they can come up with something honestly better than the Rabbids. Not to crap on them.
Yeah, no.
I just think we can come up with something more like characters that we're more connected to, maybe.
Yeah, I
Poor
I like
rabbits.
seeing the interaction between the different characters. It's just really cool to see them come into the same world and
It is.
interact that way.
Yeah, I love crossovers.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's get into those questions we had from the chat based on super chats. You guys can still get them in. We have a number of them to get through here. Some of them are just statements. Some of them are questions. I really do appreciate the support, guys. You can keep super chatting in your questions right now. This is the Q&A section before we head out. Nerdy Seb comes in and says, love the show. Everything good with Gamebird.
Mhm.
Yeah. There's some personal stuff. We can't really get into it because he didn't say we could, but he's got some personal stuff going on. Everything's fine. For those who don't know, whenever we have a podcast on a non-standard day, not everyone's expected to show up if they can't make it, especially when it's like a last-minute thing. Because we had a meeting the other day and talked about this. Like every time there's a major direct, we're going to do a bonus episode. That's just what's going to happen. But we also clarified that, hey, Nintendo only gives us 24 hours notice.
Mhm.
It's not realistic to force everyone to be here that night. Even though we know it's typically going to be a Wednesday night or a Thursday night, right? That's usually what it's going to be. We have lives, we have families, we have things. Some things we can't cancel, some things we can't move around.
Hell, I go on work trips and I can't move those.
Yeah, you can't do anything about that.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that we're still going to do a show. Just find fill-ins like we did today with N64 Josh. Because it's not that hard to find fill-ins for things like a direct day anyways. But yeah, when we have these last-minute bonus shows, like we knew we were doing this yesterday. Is when the decision was made we're doing this today. It's one of those, there might be a show that Steve misses or I miss or Eric misses when it's a bonus show. So yeah, nothing's wrong. Everything's good. He'll be on. He's literally going to be on the Switch 2 live reaction, which when we're done with this show, it's going to boot you over to that one to get your notifications set, ready to go for the Switch 2 direct live reaction, because it's going to be me, Stash, Eric, Gamebird, and Joyce J. So it's going to be a fun. That's going to be really fun.
Yeah.
And if they show Zelda, prepare for Joyce to freak the fuck out. It's going to be great.
They're gonna.
Anyway, so yeah, nothing's wrong. Everything. Well, I should say nothing's wrong, but not our place to say.
Right.
But he's fine. Everything's good there. Taker 610. Retro made an entire first trilogy in the same time as 4.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, 2002 to 2007.
Yeah. I just
5 years. This has taken longer.
Don't put more pressure on Prime 4. Don't put more pressure for it to deliver.
Insane.
Karkun coming up with the big one. The 20,000, or I should say 2,000 yen, saying the virtual game card feature is cool win for us. I can lend my digital games to my wife for her to try on her own. This is not backwards compatibility because it's for a different Nintendo account. See you all next week. Yeah, there's a lot of like I was just reading an article while Sash was doing his list about that kind of broke down how this all works. And like one thing people missed is when you look in the actual the actual how it works, it literally is a toggle. If you like the way it currently works now, with if you just worry about two systems, the primary and secondary, literally it's a toggle in the settings. You just turn it off. You can literally freely turn this on and off whenever you like. So yeah, Nintendo thought about that. They thought that some people might prefer two systems being able to play the game at the same time on different accounts, but with the primary and secondary. Nintendo thought about that. They're just saying that, hey, we want to give you this additional way, and hey, in this way, you only have to be online when the game is being transferred. So, like, when you do the initial borrow, it's online, and then when you eject it, it's online. But when you're playing it, you don't have to be online, which is what you currently have to do with the current system. So Nintendo's just giving options, and I think options are always good. They're not taking away; they're just adding to. That's good. That's all. It's all good. I really, really like the system. I think Nintendo just explained it so poorly. I feel like they needed to like contact a gamer. They're like, how would you explain this? Like, here's all the complex stuff it does, but like simplify this for the consumer. I feel like they didn't get the right people in to simplify the explanation.
Nope.
It's really not that convoluted, but it sounds like it the way they presented it. Demonic Brawler said, message, hey, Nate, don't forget the virtual card is compatible with Switch 2. Saves time on transferring games. It's actually more convenient. The virtual card is compatible with Switch 2. I don't know how it saves time on transferring games.
Because it's going to jump back to your Switch 1 if you transfer it that way in 14 days.
Yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't just make your Switch 2 your primary account and just re-download all your Switch 1 games.
Yeah.
Really, I don't think it's a time saver.
I don't know. Well, I guess it's possible.
Am I missing something?
It's possible. I don't know.
I mean, I'm doing a system transfer. Well, I don't even know. We actually don't even know how it works.
Yeah, right.
If you're transferring from Switch 1, is it a system transfer?
God, I hope.
Or is it just a log?
I'm hoping they cover that in the Switch 2 Direct, because.
Well, that could be something.
Or I guess
they don't have to put that in the
afterwards.
Direct. Yeah, they could cover that in the lead up.
In another Direct or something, or another video or something that they drop.
Because I kept thinking, like, when I transitioned on the Xbox, it wasn't a system transfer. They just said log in with your account and you can re-download all your shit. That's pretty simple. Because system transfers, they're not all, well. See, if you have shit internet, or you have data capped internet, you would prefer a local transfer, but we'll see. Nintendo's still got to explain how all that stuff works, if it works at all. If it's just log in and download or whatever. Corey said, the primaries and secondary is Switch 1 only, perhaps, and virtual game cards is more of a Switch 2 feature. Well, virtual game cards is both. Virtual game cards launches next month. They already announced it launches next month on Switch 1. So this is not just a Switch 2 thing. It's a Switch 1 thing. Obviously, we don't know if primary, secondary is there on Switch 2. I would presume it is, since they're so adamant that this is optional. I would presume they're just going to... Look, guys, it's the same Nintendo account system. They're not changing the account system. They're not changing the NSO system. That's moving forward to Switch 2. So, and we've even heard rumors that it's like the same operating system, just modified differently. So, like, because we already have Ounce, the code name, in the current operating system. So, like, I kind of feel like they're just, the back end and how that all works is going to stay kind of the same. And it's just going to be optional even in the Switch 2 era. Again, sounds like Nintendo's just giving options. But you are correct to say we don't know 100% that Switch 2 will have a primary, secondary option. It's kind of an assumption that they'll maintain that. I guess we'll find out. We don't know. Nintendo's got a lot to explain about Switch 2. They really do. By the way, everything is not going to be explained next week. I want to be very clear about that.
Definitely not.
It'll be too much of an overload. This is why they said Nintendo Today, news every day. Yeah, they got to spread shit out because it's too much to do.
They want you talking about it every day.
Yeah. Thoughts on a Metroid multiplayer game? This is Boo Mini. Well, they've done it before several times. Hunters is the one people remember most fondly. Federation Force actually was multiplayer as well. They had a multiplayer mode in Metroid Prime 2. So multiplayer is not new to Metroid. I'm going to be honest. I kind of don't. I want Metroid multiplayer, but I want it part of Prime 4. I want it to be a mode. I don't want it as a separate thing. But that's me. What about you guys?
Yeah, if we get multiplayer,
Mhm.
I want it to be part of the game.
Yeah. I think it just I like campaigns, like main ways to play the game, and then you have this multiplayer mode that just kind of keeps you playing the game because you just enjoyed it so much.
Yep,
Yeah.
same.
That's what I like. And I know guys that kind of, that's what Halo does. Yeah, I know. And Halo has had some pretty sick campaigns in the past.
Exactly.
They really have. Yeah, the multiplayer is what kept people playing, but I didn't initially buy Halo for that. I bought it for the campaign back in the day. Yeah. Long Rua, I know I'm mispronouncing that. It says the app is a giant middle finger to journalists. We have to see if it really is that. One, it's not going to have any of your third-party announcements. That's still going to have to be covered by other people. And there's a chance that the app itself is even behind on news. Like if you look at the news app on the Switch, right? The news is always like sort of a couple days old by the time it pops up on there. It would be nice to think they're going to have they're going to break the news on the app before it hits on Twitter or somewhere else. That would be, that's a nice thought. I think if anything, it breaks at the same time. But I don't know that it really affects journalists all that much. Actually, it just gives journalists more to cover.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing is that this is not an opinion piece, this app.
Yeah.
That's a lot of what journalism is giving your thoughts and opinions on the news.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why it doesn't replace what I do.
Yeah, this will never have opinions in there. So I don't think it really affects journalism.
Yeah. At least not modern day journalism.
No.
I don't think it's going to have much of an effect on that. As I said, it's just going to give them more to talk about. It's actually probably going to be helping them. I know it's going to help me as a content creator. So,
yeah.
Taker 6 says Switch 2 exclusive and Switch 2 edition games. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we talked about it. I don't really know much there is to say because it's kind of like we're not really sure what it means yet.
Mm-hmm.
We just know that means obviously there's a Switch 1 game and there's a Switch 2 version of a game. That we get. But does that mean Switch upgrades, paid upgrades? Does that mean releasing a game on its own? Does that mean, hey, a bunch of these games we announced next week are going to be cross-gen and also on Switch 1? Like that's what it is with PlayStation, right? At least was for a long time. I know they're finally getting to just exclusives, but as I said, I feel like the cross-gen stuff, as I said earlier, doesn't make sense to me outside of day one. Like Metroid Prime 4 being cross-gen. Yeah, Nintendo does that day one. But I think moving forward, it's going to be exclusives just because that's what sells systems. So the Switch 2 edition to me is more about upgrading Switch 1 games to Switch 2. And how are they doing that? Are they selling a patch? Are they giving us the patch? But if we do that, if we can, like, what if we convert it? Like on PlayStation, we convert it to a Switch 2 version. Now I can't borrow it to Switch 1 users because it's no longer a Switch 1 game. That's something that they got to sort out if that's what they're doing. Or are they just going to sell you Switch 2 versions of Switch 1 games, which is what they sold us Wii U versions of Wii U games on Switch, right? That's literally doing what they just did last generation. So we'll see. History tells you that they're probably just going to port over with upgrades old games because that's what Nintendo's always done. But times change. We'll see.
They do.
Let's see here. No original Switch games release in May. Want to address this, Thunderstash? It's going to be May, guy.
Yeah. So, yeah, we saw that, and May is wide open. It's a ghost town. Said it before. It looks like the month of May is missing a launch lineup. It's like, guys, we're a few days away from
There's
April.
like Doom and nothing else.
Yeah, we're a few days away from April. This does not make any sense. And I've looked at, oddly enough, may sound weird, but I've been looking at release calendars, I swear to you, since the late 90s. I know what they look like. I've watched, gaming progress over the decades, and this is not normal. This wasn't even normal during the peak of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, there's just like a huge empty spot. So hopefully it's in May. May 15th would be great.
Yep. I know I put June 6th. I'd rather it be May 15th.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I'm just hedging on that. Too many people are saying June. I'm gonna go with the June, but I know there's lots of logic for May. It makes a lot of sense. So we'll see what happens. All right. Next up we have this one's just to say thank you to Stash, not quite dead. Give him $10 over on his channel, saying thanks for the great vid.
Thank you again. I appreciate that.
I always love seeing our fellow co-hosts getting some support out there. Andrew Brightwell, because it's a Stash. My thought is that they have to show something Zelda next week. Breath of the Wild is the number 4 selling Switch game. Tears of the Kingdom is the number 8. It's crazy, man. First gen ever. 2 top 10 selling games are both Zelda. Even if it's a tech demo, I feel like they need something Zelda, right? So, to you, Stash.
Yeah. And again, thank you, Andrew. Great question. I do believe they'll show something Zelda. I have it on my official bingo card. Like my real one, not our wish list bingo card. Nate, I think you have Zelda on there as well, right?
Yeah, 3D.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm expecting to see a 3D Zelda. Now, will it be Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom? I don't know if that's what we'll see. It's possible, though. It's possible that could be brought up because of the improvement of Switch 1 games on Switch 2. Like, that could honestly be a big selling point. So, possible we could see that. But if we don't see that, I do expect that we're going to see some sort of 3D Zelda tease.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a tease.
You have to. We've talked about this because the average consumer, if you don't show it, they might assume that, oh, I guess they don't make Zelda anymore. Or I guess Zelda's not coming out on Switch too. It's like, no, that's not how it works. But
and Zelda, the 3D Zeldas happen to be a particular ones they do tend to tease years ahead of time. Because I think they know that people forget because it does. It takes 5-6 years for those games to come out. They know people forget, so they like to tease 2 to 3 years before it comes out. Some of it has been just by happenstance of delays and stuff. But Boomany comes in, said thoughts on Hyrule Warriors game with an Echoes of Wisdom art style. That my thought is that would be wild. Don't run it on the engine that Echoes of Wisdom uses, because that already has hitches and issues. But like a more chibi art style Warriors game, fuck it, why not?
Interesting.
Why not?
Why not? I mean, it'd be cool.
Yeah, I'd play it.
Yeah,
It'd be wild, man. Bring all the handheld games together. Let's go. Michael Lorenz went ahead and gifted a membership that ended up going to, look at that, Boomany.
There you go.
See, she super chatted and then it paid off with a membership. That's how it goes over on the good old Nintenbyte Podcast. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this episode. We'll be back literally next week, Wednesday, 8 p.m. But really, you can see the entire crew the morning of that event, 6 a.m. Central Time, because we got to get bright and early because the directs that directs happened even earlier than this direct happened.
Yeah. I'm going to be up at, I think, 3 something.
Yeah. I'll make sure. Yeah. And I'll be live streaming the night before. But guys, we are not going into OT on that stream. I got to get some. I want to make sure I have full energy for the next day. So this is going to be awesome, guys. We'll catch you then. Stash, where can they find you at, bud?
Yeah, you can find me at Thunder Stash Gaming on YouTube, and then most often on Twitter. I reply all the time, or I think I reply to everything that comes my way. You can find me on Twitter at ThunderStashYT. And again, I review video games. I review new and retro games and video game accessories, products, but mainly I review video games. So yeah, come check me out.
There it is. Eric?
I'm here.
There you go. Getting a lot of Eric because you had him twice this week. You're gonna have him twice in the same day next week. Heck, you might even get him 3 times because he's spending the night before when I'm doing that stream before.
Yeah.
So you might see him 3 times.
Maybe. Yeah.
Just saying. Maybe he decides, fuck you. I'm sleeping. It's 9 o'clock. Fine. Well, don't blame me if I scream if someone does $100 super chat. I'm like, God damn it, Eric, come do the tequila for me.
Right.
It'll help you sleep.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Right.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. And we will, man, the next time we see you, the Switch 2 event.
It's gonna be so much fun.
Let's go. Bye, everyone.
Later.
Good night.